Hello there. How you doing? Please feel free to drop something into the chat. What's happening? Just waiting for a few more people to show up. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if my audio is shonky or I'm too scratchy or the video is no good or anything like that. Let's see if I can up this resolution a bit. Hello. Wow. Oh my goodness. Lots of people. 4 people. Crikey dick. What do we got? Oh, greetings. Spectra, Mark Thomas, Savorg. Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Just thought I'd just randomly see what would happen if I just cranked a live stream without any sort of prompt. So it's impromptu. Cheers. It's about 10 to 12 o'clock here in New Zealand. It's a bit of an overcast day where, hey, what's happening? Can hear you fine. Hopefully voice getting rested. Ryan, hey Ryan, how you doing, man? Great to see you. So yeah, it's a bit overcast here. I've been out for a run, done my yoga for the morning, and had something to eat. And yeah, I've been a bit quiet on the lives lately and things. So I dropped a whole bunch, like 3 videos yesterday, like music type videos. And so I thought, because I just wanted to say thank you guys, because didn't come through, when I hit hello Ginger Grin. Let's do some hello Mark. I am very well, sir. I'm very well, thank you. Hello Spectra. Lovely to have you here. Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, Savorg. Oh, that's good. Oh, my voice, your voice, my voice. My voice is okay. If anything, yeah, it's funny actually. Because I've just been out for a run. It's a bit cool and crisp out there still. So yeah, just getting the voice back. Yeah, bro. Hello, Ginger Grin. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you liked that one. Thank you. Yeah, I was I was leaving it a bit long, wasn't I? Getting something out. I promised you guys something about a month ago when I hit the 500 subs, and so yeah, I thought I'll get that squared away. So I've even put a couple other ones in there. And actually, if you go to the YouTube, I better put this one up. Cheer. That's a Kiwi thing. Cheer means cheers. If you go to the YouTube, there's a blues track called Groovy, and there's another one called Taut. These are all original tracks. The Groovy one's just me jamming out some blues back in the day, and the Taut is an original track. There's vocals. There's an actual longer version. We did some recordings of it years ago, but I had a snippet of me ripping up some lead guitar over the top. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that. And what else have I put up there? I've also put up some live footage of me playing with one of my bands from years ago. Oh my gosh. And we're playing Back in Black. And it's just me playing the lead break. Unfortunately, like, we didn't get a lot of recordings of the bands back in those days. We didn't have the tech, and the tech that we did have was, and when you're in a bar and you're trying to get a good audio capture, never mind the video, but just a good audio capture, there's a lot to take into consideration. And especially if you want to market it or use it for sort of promotional material. And so the guy that I gave, his name will not be mentioned, the guy that I gave the camera to record this one gig, he recorded like half of a song, then like a snippet of this, and then he left it on the table. I gave it to the wrong guy. Bless him though, he did get some good footage, but it's so disjointed. And yeah, but anyways. So yeah, there's me playing the outro for the AC/DC track, and there's some pretty wild stuff on there from back in the day. Are you seen AC/DC? I've never seen AC/DC in person. I remember back in the day, when AC/DC came to New Zealand years ago. I think it was on the Money Talks tour, and they were showering the crowd with all of this like AC/DC money, and I didn't go. I mean, I don't mind AC/DC. I've played a lot of AC/DC in my life. I guess, I've been to some concerts. Wasn't really much of a concert guy. I've seen Slash and Def Leppard and ZZ Top, and seen Slash a couple of times. Saw Velvet Revolver, and who else have I seen? I saw who was it? Dire Straits at when I was a young fellow. I got in for free because kids under 15 or 16 or something like that got in for free. But anyway, I was going on about something there. But yeah, they were spraying all someone was dropping all this AC/DC money, like this fake money. It's pretty good quality stuff though. Like it's it's not cheap. It's like pretty durable. And so my friend gave me some because he went. So I've got this AC/DC money. It's quite fun. But yeah, they would be as far as rock bands go, AC/DC are, obviously one of the biggest ones ever. And it's funny, like if you look at those guys, they're not like they're not the prettiest bunch of lads, are they? But man, they can deliver, right? They're just punchy, four on the floor, man. And especially great. I like Angus Young as far as a cool lead guitarist goes. Man, that guy. I tell you what, like Hendrix solos can be quite tricky, and they lack for me. Well, they don't lack; they're a different style. But I mean, I loved Hendrix. Like Hendrix was my bread and butter for a long time. To be fair, just the guy that picked up the guitar and showed out everyone how to play it in a different way. But old Angus Young, man, he was ferocious. He was a ferocious guitar player, and he had a kind of a swag and a sexiness. I think the AC/DC, they stand out. They're a little edgy with, obviously, their songs. But yeah, like as far as influences go, yeah, I mean, learning AC/DC songs like jamming out to A Whole Lot of Rosie or what's the other one? Let There Be Rock. These ferociously galloping drums and trying to, and as a lead guitarist, because I'm an improviser, right? I just love jamming. I learned a lot of guitar solos, because some songs really, it's hard to improvise over them and still stay in the spirit of the song, like go wild improv rather than just sort of like pressing out the sides a little bit to add a little bit of your own nuance and flavor to it. But yeah, I mean, I was going to say, look, one thing I really like talking about is imagination and creativity on the spiritual path, because it's kind of my view personally that, if we are indeed the creation of a creator and we are made in its whatever image, I kind of think that we're here in a sense to honor that process a little bit. And we obviously see that through the procreation of our own species and around us. And, I mean, I used to play a lot of covers. So I was playing a lot of people's music. That's how you make money. If you want to go and play in a band and you want to make money, you learn covers. You can switch a few originals in there, but the crowd are generally there because they want a live jukebox kind of thing. And I was quite lucky because I had a lot of mates who were musicians before I became a sort of full-time player, teacher and that. And I heard all the stories, and I have to say that, people staying up late, like you might have to go and do a sound check at the gig at like, say, 3:00 in the afternoon. That's when you can go in and set up. Sometimes the bars don't want you setting up while it's in their peak hour. So you'd have to go in after work, set up. I was a guitar teacher. So fortunately, most of our gigs were on the weekends, which was cool. We weren't really gigging that often, to be fair. I was such a busy guitar teacher. I think I mentioned this in some of the other streams. At one point I was teaching up to about 170 kids a week. Well, students, I should say, because I was teaching all kids of all ages. I had a beautiful studio. I think I've even shared some of those images. I'll see if I can bring some up. I've got some stunning images in my studio. I might take me a bit to fluff around with that. But yeah, as far as creativity goes, you know, and improvisation is where you kind of, let's say you've learned a song, say, I don't know, let's just pick a blues song, The Thriller's Gone by B.B. King, right? It's a blues turnaround. I think it's a 12 bar. It's a little different from your classic blues turnaround because it's got a couple of extra chords in there, but outside of your classic 1-4-5. And you learn how to, you can learn to play BB's solo, and then you can learn to improvise, where you come to understand the notes that you can play over the top of the chord progression. Now, there's a set of notes that will sit lovely over the top of the chord progression, no matter which chord you fall on. Like you know, for example, if I grab my guitar, see if you guys can hear this. Tell me if you can't hear this, okay? Because I haven't really tried doing this live, so. So I'm sitting on one chord here. That would be the 4 chord. Now I'm going to the sharp 5 or the flat 6, which is a major 7. Then I go back to the 5, which is a dominant 7. Well, that's not quite right. But essentially, as I move through the chord progression, the chords change, and you can play different things over different chords, or you can play one particular scale over the whole lot. So I could play the root or the main note, the main chord. I could play, the song is in the key of A, this particular version, and so I can play all the notes from, say, A minor pentatonic. Now, I won't go into all the gory details, but what I'll say is that once you know the sort of the ways to just jam over the top of whatever it is, you know, you can just turn the radio on and you can just play over anything. You can play over, like, you know, jingles and, you know, whatever you want. And it's a great way of testing your ear, because you want to make sure that what you are doing is in harmony with what's being played. So a melody would be like, you know, like just like a little ding, 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 ding. Okay, so that would be a melody, a single note melody. But when you bring harmony in, that's like with two or more notes at once. Okay, so that's 2 sounds working together to produce something harmonious. Okay, so harmony is kind of like when things work together. And so that kind of comes to produce a thing that's aesthetically pleasing, you know. So oh man, I've got a bit bright there, isn't it? Let's just tone that down. Let's tone my forehead down a little bit. Oh, there we go. And so, yeah, and so what happens is that you can, at the very basic level, just jam the minor pentatonic all day long over the top of that chord progression. Sweet, cool. You can jam out, and you because it's only like 5 notes, and then you can explore notes outside of that. It's quite fun to play with, you know. And then you can play over each individual chord differently, and that's when you're basically taking it to another sort of dimensional level. You're actually what you would call, you're playing with colors a little bit more then. And so colors have a kind of in the sense of music, like okay, I'll just grab the guitar again and I'll give you another example. So, you know, like if I play like a major chord, like you know, it's quite a happy sound. Okay, but if I play a minor chord, it's sad, right? And so the notes that I would play over the minor chord will be different to the major chord. There's a whole bunch of these exceptions and things, but actually I can just take these off now, can't I? There we go. You guys can still hear me. Tell me if anything's going wrong, all right? And where I'm going with this is because I just find so many transferable analogies from being a music teacher and a musician with anything. Sorry, I got distracted. Sometimes it's good to turn the chat off. I appreciate you guys. Please keep putting your things in. I'll get through I'll run through the chat in a sec. Actually, I'll pull this down a little bit. So, and we'll get rid of that. There we go. Okay, and we'll pull that out of the way a little bit, and we'll straighten that up. That's right. Always attending to aesthetics. We'll pull that over a little bit. There we go. Nice. All right, here we go. Now we're cracking. Now we're professional, right? So the reason I bring this up is that, when we're talking about our practice, our Hermetic Kabbalah practice, magic practice, whatever we want to call it, our spiritual practice, our meditation, we've got an exercise we're doing, right? So we've got our eyes on the prize. We're going, okay, well, it's a finger pointing at the moon. From this, I'm going to understand some things along the way. There is an end point that makes sense because I'm, the system that I'm using, for example, I'll just use this one as an example. This has, the teacher provides a set of metrics, do this for 5 minutes and then move on, or, do this for this long. And that's your proficiency market, right? And getting off track here. Hang on, have another quick sip of coffee. So, I've lost my train of thought. It's funny, I should be good at that by now, following my train of thoughts. So anyway, what I'm going to say is that the value of improvisation means that you kind of forget about what it is you're thinking about doing. You after jamming over backing tracks, over other songs, you're not trying to learn the song the way the people played it. You were just picking up the guitar, turning the radio on, and then you're just jamming over the top. I'm an electric guitarist, probably more so than an acoustic guitarist. I can jam out though. But when you are improvising, new things pop up. You will find that as you start to enjoy it and relax and become comfortable with the process as you're doing it, like this is like Tai Chi for guitar, essentially. Like when the kids would first come to me, they'd all be like stiff and holding their breath, and it would sound like that. And once they learned to relax and become familiar with the instrument, this alien thing initially that was up against their body, and they could feel the sound through the instrument. That's what I say to anyone, like if you really want a deep experience with a musical instrument, a guitar is a great play. They're easy, portable, and all that sort of thing. But the other thing is that the resonating chamber of an acoustic guitar is up against your body. So you are essentially, having that experience in very physical, close proximity, and you're feeling it, right? And that can affect you in various ways. But like I said, so we'll take an exercise from the book and we'll take jamming on the guitar and we'll go, okay, well, Phil, make some sense of this for me. So you are learning to improvise with many things. You're being creative. We are the creation of a creator, potentially. Seems pretty good. A lot of people talk about this. A lot of books talk about this. It's our part to play is to honor that process and continue it. And so we're creating by, first of all, we learn the template. We learn a song, like, I don't know, like. So that's my slightly sort of like embellished version of, say, Smoke on the Water. But what I do is that I would then, learn to play over the top of it. And so when I would be teaching the students, We would learn how to play the basic song, and we may, depending on their skill set, because not all they all wanted to play that sort of stuff, but they weren't necessarily up for playing the original lead break. But if we were doing a concert and they wanted to play and they weren't up for the original lead break, I'd show them just how to jam over the top and make it sound good. That's more important than playing a solo correctly and making it sound bad, in my view. Ideally, they'll be able to play it well and play it, completely, all that, but wasn't always the case. But you would get creative with how you did it. Now, I think that when you're considering any of the exercises out of the book, it offers generally pretty direct, understanding. Do this and do it for this long, and this is the outcome. Basically, this is what you're aiming for. But what you're going to find is during process is that you're going to have to do a little bit of, you're going to be trying to do this thing, and it's still, you're not sure, or something like this, right? And you're sitting there and it's like, am I doing it right? And it's like, the more you can relax with it, and the more naturalness will just emerge. And because remember, you're finding your way back to something. You're remembering something here. We're almost like a restricted or a filtered down version of our ultimate awesomeness. Okay. And we're kind of finding our way back by remembering our way back to, things. Because this is like, and having fun with it and exploring it is really great. Like any one of the exercises in that book, great fun. You can sit there and just explore it. I mean, I wrote a blog about this a while back, and I talk about this often. You just sit there and watch, me TV. You just sit there and watch your thoughts rise and fall away. You could be sitting on the couch, popping some popcorn, a bit distracting to be fair, but you're just watching what your mind comes up with. Fascinating. You just get good at that, and that's a skill set in itself. I mean, if you can turn these exercises essentially into like a recreational pastime, turn them into a friend, that's a fun idea to write about. I've talked about that, befriending the exercises. And then you will find that, it's a pleasant thing to do these things. I revisit exercises, and I mean, I've got practices that predate my time with the Barden and the Rasmus material that I still enjoy going back to, and I think as well, there's a, I'm probably not going to go into any depth of conversation about this, but it's funny, I just had an email pop up about something slightly related about what I'm going to mention. How's that for the universe saying? Okay, go on then. One of the probably more one thing that's popping up in the Barden community at the moment is this topic of how to approach the exercises and some of the, I won't say traps for new players, but there's some things in it that in the books that I've heard from various people that are curiously, they would seem with a matured or a veteran or a seasoned glance to be maybe not correct, or we know that there's some errors. Say, for example, in KTQ, I think it's the elemental associations, and I think in step 3, is it the colors? No, the colors are right, and the sounds are right. Yeah, no, it's the elemental associations. They're a bit what? But finding your approach to the work, and how do you get the best out of yourself? Like you can sit there in your fire element version of yourself and just go, right, I'm going to sit here and just like this, and you're going to apply your will to it. You might burn yourself out before you experience success. It might not be your kind of learning pathway that's ideal, that's conducive to the highest quality outcome. I mean, look, I come at all of this stuff from my time being corporate trainer and being a guitar teacher with kids and people who learn stuff in different ways. Like I see the outcomes that Barden's saying, look, hold your attention on this thing for 5 minutes before moving on. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Some people learn stuff in different ways. And this book is essentially a catch-all. Like it's like a one it's like a blanket approach to this process, so that, it's made to, there's really only one way to do this stuff in the book generally, isn't there? He doesn't offer, well, if you're this kind of personality, maybe try it this way. If you're this kind of personality, maybe do it that way. He's just like, no, do this, do this, do this, do this, and basically just keep at it. And, there's many people in the community that talk about, discovering and innovating within the system. And obviously, it's a bit of a contentious issue to even mention slight deviation away from the path that Barden has laid out. And even the order of the books, in a sense, too, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 2, or personally, I think that if you get that book and you just keep reading it and just do an exercise and get your timer out, put it on 2 minutes or 5 minutes and sit there, do the thing, and then write down, take your notes. How'd you get on? Do you think you made success? Or it's like, okay, I need to do this a bit differently. Maybe I need to go somewhere else. This environment's really distracting. There's too many pictures on the wall, or there's noise in the background, or, some people can deal with that and some people really struggle with that. We're in a different time, and there's a whole bunch of different sort of environmental factors at play than, say, what was happening in Barden's time. And so, there's personally, and like I said, I just keep coming back from my time as being guitar teachers, is that my job as a teacher was to assist the students in reaching success. Okay. Now I look at Initiation into Hermetics. It's about that thick. It's a big book. If I was going to write that from my angle of being a guitar teacher, it would probably be, if I was going to fatten it out and stretch it out to encompass different learning styles, it could probably easily be twice the size, especially if you're, if you're trying to write something that, as many people are going to get, because you want, maximum saturation if you're going to create a materials, especially if you're trying to create a material that's aimed at people wanting to have spiritual development. You want them to be successful. I do feel that the information protects itself in some ways too. And I've heard great explanations from people who talk about, it was written the way it was written because of the times it was written in, for the people it was being written for their general mindset and the way the world was back then. And so he was writing for an audience that was, prevalent at the time. So, as far as bringing in improvisation into your practice goes, many of the people who comment on the works of Barden and on social media, etc., will often point to other teachers and say, hey, look, if you're struggling, check out Ron Clark's commentary, check out Muni Sadhu, check out this, because you want to do it. And you might be struggling to understand the translation of the book. And the book, I know there's some different versions. I mean, I've got to say, I love this stuff. I'm not really a hardcore Barden geek scholar, in the sense of when people talk about, the subtle differences between versions and things. I mean, for example, I haven't got it here, but the local library has a copy of PME, and I've got the other version. I think this is the Merker version, and the other one's the Dieter Rugerberg version. And I've got that. It's a beautiful purple hardcover with gold gilding on it. Oh, it's so beautiful. I don't even want to use it. It's like brand new. And so the local library's got one. I'm not actually using this book, to be fair. This brings up another conversation, but I have noticed the differences because I've read them both through, and they do have differences in them. One of them's got an extra, and I think it's to do with the font size and that, but it's that version there is considerably got more pages, but different font size. The book is slightly different in size too. So, but as far as your own path goes, look, I know that you'll hear a lot of, do it this way, and the Barden will do it that way. And, Barden says, do it this way and that, and, I think all of these viewpoints have to be, you have to expose yourself to them, because people offer compelling and very plausible discourses or explanations of why it's valuable to do it this way and why it's valuable to do it that way. My table's a bit wobbly, isn't it? Sorry, guys. Hopefully none of you guys are thinking there's an earthquake going on. But yeah, like as far as improvisation goes, once you okay, so you sit down, you get your book. I use these kids exercise books as my journals. I generally cover them though, but I just go buy a bunch of them at the beginning of the year. They're like, $20 or something, and I get a big box of them. I've started using bigger journals now, though, I've got to say. But they're great for scribbling stuff. But you get your thing, you sit down on the exercise, like, okay, how can I explore this exercise? Because the exercise isn't really it's not a, what would you say? It's a staircase, or it's a means to a certain end. But you'll probably hear other people talk about, IIH, or Initiation into Hermetics, the first book, it's a long game, and you will revisit it. And there's skills in there that can decay over time. It's like riding a bike or even playing the guitar. Some things tend to stick around. They have good staying power, but some things, they can, if you don't keep on top of them, they will sort of like die down a little bit. And this is, why we revisit them. And I love working on KTQ, and that book to me it's quite sensational. It wasn't until not sure how to go into that. I'll have a bit more of a think about it before I start extrapolating on my personal experience with KTQ. But what I want to say is that some of the conversations in the general discourse in the Barden community regarding the approach to the material, there are some divergent views, and that's great. And there's great discussion. One thing I love about this community is that generally speaking, it's gentlemanly type debating. People are like respectfully, talking about things. I've been in some other groups, man, and like other communities that have other practices and traditions, and it's like, man, these fellas want to get into a cage or something and have it out, so that's why I really like this particular community, and that's why I kind of, everything started coming together, I have to say, once I found Mark Rasmus and the Barden material, and then some of the other people, and then I've met some local people who have been trained with Mark Rasmus as well. I'm very blessed to know some people that know Mark quite well, and I'd love to go and train with him at some point. But I guess I'll have to become a big YouTube star and get all the cash coming in before I can get on the plane to go over. So if you guys can help me out there, that'd be sweet. Oh yeah, well, I got to keep remembering to do this. So please go to philrice.substack.com, sign up for the newsletter, or just give me your email address, because if YouTube suddenly decides that they don't like me anymore for whatever reason, we just lose touch. And so if you're enjoying all the stuff I'm making, I usually double it up on Substack, and I will be creating some stuff especially on there. You don't have to purchase a subscription. You can get a free one. But please go there and sign up. And there's lots of cool stuff that Substack offers. Like, you can watch a lot of these videos without ads. And you can flick it from video to audio only without paying, unlike YouTube. So you can save your screen data, your video data type thing. There's a whole bunch of other stuff too, but I really want to plug the Substack thing because I've been doing a lot of research on social media and how to get ahead in these platforms. And man, you're serving the algorithm if you get down to it, right? And they just change the rules so quick. I know people who have built their primary incomes on YouTube, and then for some reason YouTube just randomly just go, we'll change our mind, we don't like you, and they just demonetize them, and they're like, what? So yeah, I mean, you can't really get around it. YouTube is sort of the video search engine. It's like Google for videos and how to and lots of things, right? But I'd appreciate it, guys, if you could rock over to philrice.substack.com, go check it out, have a play with it, get a subscription. I mean, if you could pay for a subscription, that'd be sweet, man. I'd love that. As you can see, if you have a look up in the top corner there, you see how it's got the StreamYard logo? Okay, that means that my paid subscription has run out, and I haven't approached anyone for sponsorship. I got to say, I tried doing that. I did that with Violet Flame. Bless the brothers and sisters there. But I'd rather actually put it back on you fellas. I mean, you guys like the stuff, right? So, help me out here. Basically, I just lose like some branding stuff and the ability to stream to multiple destinations and things like that. It's about, I think it's about 45 New Zealand a month or something like that. But I got to hit like a certain threshold to get it through YouTube as well. Like so if you get a YouTube subscription, I've got to wait till that's like 130 before they send it. It's actually, man, I got to say, the amount of hoops I've had to jump through to get YouTube sorted out is insane. Substack, not even. Easy peasy. And it's very automated. So I'm probably going to be, well, I kind of already got a plan laid out. I'm going to be making a whole stack of stuff on Substack. So I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I mean, this is just a hangout, so people will be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? So I know you might not want to share this one, but please like and subscribe. I'm presuming that's still a thing, subscribing. Yeah. And throw stuff into the live chat, guys. I'm going to go there right now. And yeah, let's see what's going on. Thanks everyone hanging out. It's good fun. I really like just hanging out with these things, and because I got a few people on the subscription list now, when I do these things, people show up. So it's cool. All right, let's see what's happening in the chat. What you doing this year, Christmas and New Year's? Jorad and okay. Well, I mean, Christmas will probably be spent with the family. I mean, I'm not a big sort of like mainstream kind of dude, but I like to, this time of the year, around the solstice, and the birthday. There's lots of birthdays, obviously, around that. Yeah, family's good. For New Year's, I haven't really done a New Year's thing for a while. If anything, I'll probably meditate. I don't know, maybe find some other people to hang out with. I don't know. I kind of done pubs and clubs. I mean, I don't, kind of moved past all sort of festivals, and I don't really do festivals. I don't know. I really just like my own company nowadays, so I don't really go and do things like that. I love rocking out. Cool, man. Yeah, play with that minor pentatonic, and that's your 5 notes. And then once you learn a few of the other scales, like the 7-note scales, you can just branch out from the minor pentatonic into that. But you might already know that stuff. I play bass like it's a 6-string guitar. Cool. Yeah, I kind of started my band career as a bass player. I was already playing guitar, but everyone was playing guitar. Nobody wanted to play bass, and I'm like, I just want to be in a band, so I'll just play bass. Anything you do on guitar is okay as long as it's not tapping with a loop pedal in my. I actually looked at a loop pedal a few times. I knew it never just kind of happened, but yeah, I mean, I gotta say those fellas, they can do some pretty impressive stuff with loop pedals. I'm whatever about it, but I have to say, every man and his dog started rocking a loop pedal, and it just became, for me, it just became a bit cliche. And because I come from a background of playing in a live band, like a power band, like a power trio, bars stopped having 3, 4, 5-piece bands around here, and they started hiring solo musicians, whether they were singing over backing tracks or singing and playing guitar, or they'd have duos. And yeah, a lot of the bands just started finding there was no work. The only way really to do it is to advertise yourself as like a wedding band or a corporate band. That's how you can make half decent money. Some of the bars pay okay, but you're better to aim higher. Get your gigs slick. Get a nice presentation. Play with good players. Leave the drinking and the drugs. Do the job slick. Get out there. Create an opportunity for the other members in the band to get up there and live it. You see, I have to say, after years of just being like a drunky stoner muso back in the day, that actually got pretty boring quite fast, and I just wanted to play in a professional band. And so I just started tidying things up, and things got better. Can you show us what a pentatonic major scale sounds like? Sure. Easy peasy. So here we go. So if I start here, this is your root note. So I'm going to play minor. Okay. If I want to make it a major, I put my second finger there, just for this particular thing. So it's a bit happier sounding. So majors are happy. If I play a full major scale, da 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 da, do re mi fa sol la ti do, da 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 da. If I play a minor, da, 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 da. The same. You can hear it in the chord. Minor, major. There's like a happiness and a sadness, and these are like listening skills. Whoops. These are listening skills we develop. You know, we're learning to hear the quality differences and attach relatable meanings and understandings to them. So not only can we understand ourselves, but when we're trying to communicate in the creation process with other musicians, we have a language that, you know, instead of using big long paragraphs of descriptive language, you end up coming up with these short, punchy little sort of like packets of data you can just throw to the dude or the chick or the whatever's going down, and hey man, oh yeah, no, we know what you're saying. Right, let's play this in the pocket, tight, 4 on the floor. Let's keep it straight with nice, tasty stuff on the hi-hats, minimal carve on the cymbals. You know, you come up with all this kind of cool like industry language jargon stuff, so you can just communicate things. Because when you're on stage, you know, and I think it's the same with you know, when we're talking about metaphysical practices too. Like, you know, if you're on the Barton path and you're really excited about it, just read all the books. Like read them all through. Just keep reading them, you know, and get to learn the language. I watched Mark Rasmus videos for years, just trying to get the language, the terminology and stuff down, you know, like getting to understand. So what the hell is he talking about? I'd done a lot of practice and study back in the day, but you know, I got introduced to a lot of new stuff. And so yeah, just start reading. Start to familiarize yourself with the material, because you might cross a capability threshold, and then be like, oh wow, crap, okay, I'm ready to move on now. And then you're like, oh, now I have to learn this new stuff. It's like front load the data, like he says in the first book. Make the theory section your own, right? So just get in amongst it. The perfect fifth. You know, it's funny. So when you're learning about intervals in music, because you're learning to develop listening, just like you might learn to develop listening skills with Tai Chi, or you know, the feelings of the elemental energies and the Akasha and these types of things. So you learn the distance between two sounds, and they sound different. That's the sound you hear when you walk in a shop. That's a major third. As a perfect fourth, that would be like Amazing Grace. A perfect fifth. Dun, 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 dun. That's the beginning of Star Wars tune. And then the perfect sixth, or the major sixth. Bring Back My Bonnie to Me. And so you have all these little well-known tunes. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned the perfect fifth, because that's the Star Wars thing. And of course, for those of you that aren't aware, James Earl Jones, the voice actor who played Darth Vader in the original Star Trek trilogy, has passed away today. Live long and prosper, bro. Wait a minute. Long IP. Doesn't matter. So, yeah. Do you tune to 440 or 432 hertz? Yeah, I'm a 432 guy. I've been through all that study and tried all that out. And I even went through like a 3-month experiment when I was in the schools tuning all the kids' guitars to 432, because I wanted to put it to the test and see what the benefits were. What I'll say is this. When the kids brought the guitars back, because first 5 minutes of the lesson, you're just madly trying to tune the guitars. It was easier to tune the guitars. The slot is much bigger. There's much less, what would you call it? Slip, or the margin for error is is much larger at 432. And yeah, I mean, there's and it's not so much about the 432, the number, because we can go on about that, because that's we've got 27, 54, 108, obviously, with the beads, there's 108 beads on here. That's a multiple of 27 letters in the key to the true Kabbalah, blah, 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 blah. But, when they change standard increments, or the weight of the atom, or the length of a centimeter, or how much does a kilo weigh, and even if they just, the same with the Hertzian scale, just kind of the whole thing gets bigger. It's not just like one card gets bigger. It's like they all separate out a little bit more. But I think if you listen to someone like Hendrix, he was, he wasn't, because he's like, oh yeah, he tunes to E flat, and it's like E flat is very close to 432, and generally speaking, my guitar just stayed in tune better when I rocked it at 432, and yeah, it's very interesting. And if you look at cymatics, there's a great video. Actually, I'll see if I can pull it up. Because this will be fun. And I'll pull this out. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Where are you? There's a classic 432 versus, here we go. If you haven't seen this is worth checking out, man. So I'll just bring it up. Where are we? Present. Okay, so basically, if you look at the tune, this is the guitar tuner here, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to play this, and I'm pretty sure the audio should carry through. And even if it doesn't, it's more about the visual, right? So what they've got is they've got a metal plate in the background here, and on it some sand, and they've got a speaker underneath that's pumping a tone into it, and the sound particles will organize themselves into a two-dimensional slice of a three-dimensional geometry. So I'll just play this. Okay, so this is A at 432. So we can see how the sand particles are forming a geometry here. It's not too clear actually in this particular frequency at 432. But you can see there's a circle and a pattern around the outside. So this is La at 432. So this is 440, and you can see how it's changed and it's a bit cleaner, but there's still this kind of it's not complete. All right, let's go for B. Let's keep moving up the scale here. So this is B at 432, and so it's generally a pretty clean image, right? Like I said, this is a two-dimensional slice of a three-dimensional thing, and so you can look at how dolphins talk to each other. And so this image is very clean. So this is 432, right? This is very clean. The particles are still moving, but generally it's self-organizing beautifully. It's a very crisp, clear image. Now here it is at 440. You can see how it's not quite connecting and finishing. It's kind of like you're almost in between radio stations on the old dial sort of guitar, on the old radios. So here we go. Here's a beautifully crisp 432 based image. So this is when the note of A is tuned to 432, and then they're all tuned from 432 up and down. So look at that. That's crisp and clear. Here we go. Here's C at 440. It's a different pattern, so it's trying to turn into something else, but it's still a bit broken. They didn't spend too long on that one. I've heard of quite a few arguments about this whole thing too, the size of the plate and the volume and that. But here we go. Here's a nice 432 one. Nice, crisp and clear. Now let's see what 440 comes out like. There we go, 440. This is D at 440. Okay, we'll wait for the camera to come into focus. Slowly, any moment now. We can see that it's a similar image, but it looks like it's on its way to something else. It's kind of halfway between. So this is our 432. We can see the particles are starting to self-organize. They're showing you the process of it happening. See how they're moving over? Isn't that intriguing? It's like they know they belong and they spread themselves out evenly. Isn't this fantastic? Isn't it incredible? There we go. And our friend 440, the standard tuning with all music. You think about what this is doing to sand and how this can be done with water as well. How much of your body is water? 75%? What's happening when you're exposing yourself to loud and potentially disharmonious frequencies like this here? It's going to change your geometry, your internal makeup, right? Big conversation. Another beautiful 432 image forming here. And as you move up the frequencies, as the number, the Hertzian number gets higher, the patterns tend to get more detailed, like they're more complex. So this is at 440. So this is blatant, like this looks obvious, like it's really kind of broken and not crisp and clean. And here's a 432 one that's slowly coming together. And some of these 432 ones don't even appear like they in my view, they tend towards being more crisp and clear than the 440. There's a couple of ones that are slight exceptions. But like I said, the numbers aren't always tight. So here's the 440 one again, and it's a long ways off being a symmetrical image. And it's funny because, I mean, even if I go back to this, that's a 432 one. That's not a symmetrical image, is it? You know, why does it orientate itself in that direction? How does it know, right? Because these all look like symmetrical, like this way and that way. It's really interesting. Here we go, watch this. This is when the complexity starts to move in. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? We can start seeing these images and see how it's not quite symmetrical. Look at that. Man, that's cool. I love watching this stuff. Oh, I've got an image I can bring up, actually. Oh, man, I've got so much stuff I can talk about with you guys, especially when you start seeing these patterns and shapes in old Mesopotamian imagery and carvings from, you know, and from the ancient world. There's a couple of them, actually. Let's just run through a few of them. Here we go. See this one here? This is a real curiosity. This one here is a perfect example. No, it's going to move too fast. See, that's got some symmetry to it on both axes. Look at that. Isn't that cool? There's actually a really great video by a guy back in the 70s, I think, Hans Jenny, and he's doing it with all of these different compounds. Like he takes like two different types of mediums. Like he takes sand and he might take some kind of powdery thing, and the sound separates them and they're moving as well, but they stay in their own zone. Like they know where they live and they spread themselves out evenly. It's so fascinating. So fascinating. Anyways, that's a bit of a hoot, isn't it? My gosh. So yeah, anyway, 432, bro, all day long. Yep, easy peasy. And it just works better. It's very hard to find things to jam over that are 432. If you go to YouTube and look up guitar backing tracks, there's some there that are 432, but not that many. The best bet is like, seriously, if you're going to get into something, you can find other people's stuff, but you can also just Just make your own. Learn how to make your own backing tracks. Get a loop pedal, right, and just get a beat. You only have to record 4, and then get your guitar, and then you've got that beat rocking. Dang, 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 dang. And then you just jam over the top of yourself playing. That's a great use of a loop pedal. What does spiritual development even mean? Does it mean being ethical, or does it mean magical ability? Well, it really depends. It's going to change on who you ask. I mean, if we're talking about development of the spirit from a bardinist perspective, we're talking about the schooling of the spirit to encounter experiences that some people will just through happenstance or through the will of divine providence come across. And, like Bob from 60 Skill says, all those people that are naturally clairvoyant, we all secretly, like, how come I can't get that? That comes with its own set of issues, though, right? But the skills that are gradually developed that we take ownership of as we develop them. But the schooling of the spirit. I mean, it depends. I mean, I kind of picked that the ultimate goal essentially is to dissolve back into nirvana, isn't it? I don't know, but there's no rush. Is that the ultimate goal? I don't know. There's a lot that can be done here on the earth plane, guys. Like we talked about this, and Martin Folks actually brought up a great question in one of the live streams at the Bard Inn couple ago, and why is everyone keen to sort of go back up? And then I sort of brought it together with like, we're up there wanting to come down here to learn, but we're down here wanting to escape. And it's like, you can have your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground. But I think as far as spiritual development goes, if we're talking about specifically the development of the spirit and the mental body, the immortal spirit, it's developing sense capacity at a starting point. So you can become aware of more, and therefore you have more to work with and more you can do. Whereas, say, the soul development, if you're just talking about the whole development process, yeah, I mean, we can do good works while we're here. I think there's a lot of different ways to play while we're here. We can do a lot of good stuff. We can do a lot of bad stuff. We learn. I think it's just a learning pathway ultimately, and it's all feeding back into the central server. I heard a great conversation about, why it seems so fire and brimstone in the Old Testament, because this might get taken the wrong way, but back in those days, I mean, and I've heard various arguments as well on this, because they could even say that there's different type gods that appear in the Old Testament, but because of the way they're presented. But I don't want to go into that. It's more somebody was saying that the reason why God it didn't seem like that much of a nice bloke or person, whatever, back in the day is because he was still learning, and we were learning at the same thing, like as above so below. And so as we became more refined, so did the overall, and the relationship develops sort of symbiotically, and not symbiotically, but it's like us, we can improve the human family. I hesitate to drop the 100th monkey thing, but somewhat kind of similar. So I don't even know if we need to know what it means. But I think spiritual development, if we're developing the spirit, develop the senses or the capacities of the spirit, the functions, the facilities, the faculties. Does that help? Phil Rice, I'd like to sponsor the show. Might we get in touch via email? Oh, okay. That's interesting. And you've got another one here. I'm serious. Would also like to help suggest guests who've done stuff in the Western spiritual magical traditions. Okay, brother. Thank you so much. This is where I'll stop, because my preference is that I'll just run the show. I've got a lot of people offering me suggestions and things, and the amount of work involved in contacting and connecting and setting up interviews and guest things is quite a lot. And personally, I'd rather just have the subscriber base contribute to that, so I can just freely create it. I appreciate it. I really do. But I think that because I get a lot of people offering and suggesting guests, and This channel wasn't initially intended to be a guest interview channel. It just kind of ended up being that way in some ways. I'm sort of just pulling back a little bit from that. And there's a lot of people out there to interview. But yeah, I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much. If you really want to help and you're enjoying the way, the trajectory of the channel, please press the join button or join subscribe Substack, or it's like $5 a month or something like that, or you can drop something into the PayPal. I think that's in the description or of one of the other videos. Thank you, Mark. I do appreciate that, but I had to make a very clear choice about that because I got lots of questions coming through. People are enjoying the content. They're dropping me questions. They're making suggestions and all this. And it's like, man, I'm happy just to do this stuff, guys, but there is a time cost involved. And I got lots of people wanting to make suggestions, and I'm grateful for that because I've come across some people I haven't otherwise done, which is great. But I have to say, it's actually getting to the point where I might just turn my email and my chats off because I'm reading a lot of stuff and trying to reply to everyone, and it's a big job. And yeah, I mean, I've done a whole stack of interviews, and I've got my monthly live streams. So yeah, I'm actually okay with just running, like I'd rather just build the channel up on its own merits. Doing advertising and things, I don't know. I did it that, like I said, that last time round, but yeah. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, but yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, good one, man. Good one to play with. Welcome, Ginger. Awesome. Yeah, so you can't really deny an objective experience, a shareable one that both people can agree, and so there's ways to explore. I mean, these things have to be based in some kind of reality. Now, I've read a lot of these the theories about the German bad guys using this to basically make people go docile and things, along with the fluoride and that too. And I'm not going to bring fluoride into this because I filter all my water. Thank you very much. Don't want any. I don't need extra additives. I'm good. Yeah, I mean, as far as the music goes, one of the bros said it. Like 440, because it doesn't sit nicely. It's just kind of just out. It kind of keeps you on edge. And somebody said, I think Will I Am from the Black Eyed Peas said it. He said modern music's really just about selling product. Just like, hey, a great example, a great sort of relatable analogy for this would be like if you go to a fast food joint, they're all primary colors. They're not relaxing colors. They're like, really gaudy, like reds and blues and yellows and things like that. They don't want you to sit down and hang out. If you go to a restaurant, you're paying like $40-50 for a meal. It's going to be nice pastels and soft colors, earthy tones, and you're going to be like real chill, It's the same kind of with the music too. Like it's about not being able to get settled with it, like it's just outside of kind of like geometrical sort of, what would you call it? Symmetry is a good one. So yeah, but yeah, the cymatic stuff is really good to explore because it gives you a really solid foundation into how sound can be made visible and how you can share it with others. And you have to be aware there are some good and valuable counterpoints to the cymatics. Like I said, the size of the plate, the amplitude of the sound. There's ways to test this out yourself. And there's a lot of people you can explore on this. But yeah, I mean, just try not listening to the radio. Just go onto YouTube and find 432 stuff. Tune your guitar to 432 or your instrument, and you can tune your keyboards. A lot of keyboards will tune to 432. Not all guitar tuners will go to 432. Some of them will stop at like 435. Okay, because even some of the stuff on YouTube that's advertised as 432 is not 432. And just see how you feel. It's almost like you're taking something out of your meal that you would normally eat. Like I took out, okay, just for example, I took out onions and tomatoes. Man, I feel so much better. It's like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your that's a great point. Your ethical development is going to, if you're refining the way that you walk and operate in the world, you will be less preoccupied with unnecessary things because important things will naturally emerge to take priority and precedence. And so you'll have more you'll be making better choices. So you will be second guessing yourself less. You will feel confident in your choices, and you will be spending less mental energy second guessing and thinking about it and how could I have done it better and all that. Like there's a time for reviewing your walk. That's called journaling time, right? And the end of day review. Crowley would talk about this. You'd sit down and you'd run through the previous day backwards in your head. And there's a few people that talk about this. Having a good ethical framework will make, that's one of the things that Bard and stuff shines on, because it offers that framework, and not that many systems do Western magical systems do, that I've discovered anyway. The Reiki precepts are great. I could talk at great length about how they are really valuable to people who are starting out on the Barden path. Just the precepts from Reiki, just the precepts. So Mark's saying that magical ability is spiritual development. Well, there's abilities that can be harvested from the development of the spirit. There's, if we're talking about the Barden system or the Hermetic view of things, the mind or the spirit, soul, and the body type thing, the purpose of IH, it's an ethical framework with magical development, and it also has a theurgical pathway as well. And it's probably not so that it has that in there. I found other people, like I said, Mark Rasmus is my personal teacher. I haven't trained with him. I'm an online student, and I know many of his students, and I have communicated with him as well. But he gives me a great framework that just sits beautifully with me, and so I'm very happy with that. Head above heavens, feet below hells. That'll do too. The true definition of magic is when our will is in alignment with the will of our universe, which means being ethical. Okay. Yeah. When we're doing the will of the creator, it's a whole other story. And obviously, I think Bob from 60 Skills talked about this, about the Egyptian gods essentially being deities that don't work for the big god. They've got their own little pocket of reality that they sort of look after in that, and so they're not operating. And that's why I think they talk about the Egyptian deities and the Christian deities don't play well, because the different trajectories of intent, perhaps. But ideally, if we can walk this world without causing ourselves unnecessary, stuff that's going to bite us in the butt later on, that sounds good to me. Oh, perfect, Ginger. Thank you. Yes. So there's these natural laws, there's a great teacher of natural law by the name of Mark Passio, Markpassio, and he's a hardcore dude. Don't get me wrong on that. You got to have you probably get offended the first time you listen to him, but he's got a movie out on YouTube called Mark Passio and the Science of Natural Law. And he's essentially teaching you how to live with it in line with natural law. But you got to realize that there's things that you're probably participating in right now, even in a collective situation, that are actually transgressing on natural law. You might think you're doing everything right, but you're wondering why things are going wrong in your life. And this can give some insight into that. But essentially, we're here to learn, and sometimes those lessons aren't going to be necessarily all that pleasant, and we can still be living in with divine law because we've got to break free of some thinking, or there's some kind of development that needs to happen. But the goal is that if we can walk with God, walk in line with in harmony with laws, then we're not gathering unnecessary karma. As we're going down the hallway of life, the corridor of life, we're not banging up against the walls, being dragged and smacked and getting bruised. We're just sailing on through. We let go of the rudder and the oars, and we're just carried. And that's when we know we're in the flow. Yeah. Oh. Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I just want to say to everyone, look, I get a lot, like I said, I get a lot of contact people, and people have got great ideas, but I just want this, like I said, like I want this just to be, whatever it is that I come up with when I start becoming beholden to things. And I mean, I just can't. I think about a month worth of advertising of Violet Flame, and I want to support them and all that, and I'm happy to do that anyway. But yeah, just having to do that, it just started to feel a bit cheap and cheesy. But yeah, Mark, if you want to, if anyone wants to sponsor it, like I'll give you a shout out, man. I'm happy to do that. It's just as far as the content goes. Now that's just going to be whatever I am. So, I'll actually just put I'll just put a banner up. Use the Apple. Always like the Apple. Want to donate one off PayPal. There we go. So if you want to donate and you don't want it to go through YouTube, and thanks, because man, I'll tell you what, those fellas want like 30%. What? Like I got super chats and super thanks and all of the whatever's YouTube offer, and it's really cool and all that. But here's a way you can do it, and that way I don't have to wait to reach any thresholds. And I'll totally give you a shout out, man. And I'm greatly appreciative of it. As I'm sure many of you guys are for this. And I've at times in my life I've been unable to support my preferred content creators, but when I can, I do. I really like, the fact that we have some of the best teachers around at the moment. Mark Rasmus, Bob Smith, you got guys like Martin Foulkes, Jake, Christoph Magbach, Ron Clark, Clint Sabom, David Paul Coleman, Dinesh Kumar. You've got, oh man, the list goes on. And so, get on and support them, guys. Like, if you don't want to start a channel or although I must say, I encourage you to do so, because you've got wisdom to share, just be honest, I'm straight up, just get onto it, like seriously trying to make a living off YouTube. That could take a long time. And then you become beholden to them. And it's like, I don't know if I want to do that. Yes, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't like having my creativity hampered by obligations to things and that, but I do appreciate appreciation. So thank you, sir. And yeah, I mean, this is it. I'm just being straight up. Yes, this is the truth. Buddy Boulder saying it reals, man. It's kind of the reason. It's funny that song that I dropped last night, the dark one actually. People ask me, what do you call it dark for? I'm like, going, I don't know. I just did. The song starts off, and then it breaks into this much lighter thing. I think this is kind of just back and forth between them. That's where the real value is. Is exploring them. You go and explore to the point of like, it's a bit too far. I'll pull back. Oh, there's good. That's too dark. Oh, no, that's right. That's good. That's good. Okay. And then you find your comfort threshold, which you probably will have to exceed again at some point. And then you might be like, light and love, light. That's way too fluffy. Okay. Yeah, I'm good about here. Good. Between here and here, that's good. Okay. That's my little operational pocket. Wonder what the comparison of cymotics of 432 versus 440 would illuminate. Well, I mean, I just kind of showed that. I mean, it shows the geometry difference of how the sound affects particles. We are made of particles. There's plenty on water as well. So essentially, if you're exposing yourself to frequencies that don't create alignment, it's almost like the particles are forming into sort of like a predetermined template of structure, and it can move between them based on the frequency. And 440 appears to be just outside of that crisp and clear structure. There's plenty more on there you can search. Just like type in 432 versus 440. There's heaps of different ways people have explored this conversation. It's a big dive, I will be fair on that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to look at. But essentially, there's these zones of coherence. So it's not even 432. It's 432 and then a bit to the left and a bit to the right, numbers-wise. And then in that little pocket, the geometry seems to line up good. You should feel good, these types of things. But just outside of that, things start to change. And it's kind of like the music kind of keeps you in that transitional part without resolving. It's kind of like this. Here's a great example, actually. So there's 7 notes in a scale, and there's 8 notes in an octave. So the octave is the resolution of the scale. So check this out. So here's a scale. Let's go for a C major scale. La 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 la. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7. Feels like da 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 da. It doesn't finish, does it? It's kind of there, but it's not quite. Now it resolves. We're back home. Right? Okay, that's what I'm saying. The cymatics is somewhat related to that. You know, like if you're just outside that, it's kind of hanging there and it wants to finish, but it can't. Oh, thank you, Eli. I love it. 3 orange hearts. Ooh, objective morality. Yeah, that's the conversation I sort of started having with Bob and Stavish, Mark Stavish, on moral relativism. Yeah, so objective morality. Mark Passio talks about that. And, if we can demonstrate the actuality of universal law principles to people around us, then we are essentially teaching the word. We are teaching the law. And Mark Rasmus says it straight up. He says, look, Tai Chi, Qigong, Hermetics, especially Tai Chi and Qigong, he says, these are how I can teach universal law principles to the general public with objective, reality, essentially. Like, Qigong's great because you can apply the laws to the energetic substance. I should actually do something on that. Oh, yes. Cool, man. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Voluntary de-occultist. I love it. Yeah. That's great, bro. You keep that up, my man. Thank you. And I appreciate the commentary. Passio deserves props. He's a hardcore dude, man. Hardcore, but that's what it takes, We got to have people at the forefront, at the vanguard, on the leading edge. You're like the tip of the spear. They're on the fringe in some ways, like going, hey, this is worth paying attention to, because we can get really trapped in our sphere of sort of influence and observation and not being able to see outside of that, but there's things that are just outside of our purview that are really important and critical. And we're like, man, I'm doing everything right, but everything's turning to shit. What's going on? And it turns out that, do you ever go and how often do you revolve your decision making in the course of a day around the fear of punishment or persecution or one of these types of things? You navigate, I don't want to do that because that'll mean that. No. And you're sort of like carefully stepping around things in life because, these are things to consider, what's driving your decision making. And this is part of the Hermetic liberation process, is that we start off by liberating ourselves from external influences. So we get to know our internal self. Oh my gosh, this is me. This is me. I'm not that stuff. Oh my gosh, I thought I was an angry person and I thought I had this issue and that. And they gave me all these really handy labels and slogans and mantras, that are all approved. And I've been repeating them and I started to believe them. Turns out I'm actually a lot more powerful than what I thought I was. I can liberate myself. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I learned a bit of Qigong from Michael William Denny, Thunder Wizard. Oh, okay. I'm not aware of that. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Qigong's great. The Mark Rasmus stuff. I mean, I've done a lot of Qigong back in the day, but the theory and the flowery metaphor, oh my gosh. And meridians, and it's just all these seemingly vastly different systems. And it's like, each one's a big rabbit hole. But when I listened to Mark Rasmus talk about it, and he's done so much travel and practice and that, and he's just saying, look, no, you get the feeling of the energy and you inflate yourself, and you're basically mixing the feeling of energy, clairsentience of Qigong with the Baden material. Pardon, excuse me. A quick sip of coffee. Have you read the Bhagavad Gita? No, not in entirety. I've actually got, it's funny actually you mentioned that, because I go op shopping a bit, or thrift shopping, and I tell you what, man, we've got a beautiful shop here in Howard called the Salvation Army, and their stuff is, man, they get so much stuff. In fact, in my family's mall, we get a lot of stuff. And some of the books, because the Salvation Army is a Christian organization, some of the books that they get, the book collections they get given, maybe don't align with their values in some ways, and so they can sometimes end up in the I wouldn't say the bargain bin, but like the freebies, or I'm wondering some of them may not make it for whatever reason. Like, that's okay, whatever. But I found a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. I found the Gita, and I found the Mahabharata. And what else did I find? I found a bunch of them. I got the Iliad, the Upanishads. Man, honestly, we have an aging population here in Howick, and a lot of them, their estates, their kids will come in. Like, those conversations that I've had with Mark and Bob about preserving knowledge. This is no joke, guys. There was an old dude who lived at the top of the street, and he'd lived there forever, man. He was out there mowing his lawns every weekend, and real staunch, hardworking dude. Had a big life. Well, he passed away. How do I know this? Because I saw these people unloading his house. They had these big, flexible, giant, like skip rubbish bins, and they were just throwing all this old stuff in there. A lot of it probably was crap, to be honest. They filled up one of these giant skip bins with books. He had a huge book collection. Fiction, awesome, whatever. But the non-fiction, this guy must have had a room dedicated to his book collection, man. And the kids just biffed it. And I couldn't believe it. So I went, and just after a couple of days, because I didn't want to just go and take it all, because everyone knew it was there, and they just started pilfering through it. But the rain got to it, so I was like, okay, bugger it, I'm going to take the car up. And I just loaded it all up, and I found all these books from like the 20s and all these old classics, Charles Dickens, and you name it. And people not valuing knowledge like that. And I mean, especially like some of these are like hardcovers, guys. Like, I didn't go through the process of pricing up these books. I ended up just giving them to a local place, one of the other thrift shops, because they can make the money on it. Like, these things come back around to me. I like living a simple life personally. It was quite distressing to see that. But we have a lot of this happen where people's estates will end up in the thrift shops, and you can go in there and you will just, you guys know this. You go to thrift shops, right? My gosh, the stuff you discover in there, like people like, yeah, check this out. Somebody went in the other day and said, oh, hey, man, I found one of these, and I thought you might be interested because I know you're into this stuff. I said, oh, what do you got? It was a brand new Rider-Waite deck, tarot deck, brand new in the box, packaging, cover. It was all taped up and everything. Okay. But the books, I'm always on the lookout for books. And shoes. Man, I tell you what, you'd be surprised. People will throw shoes away before they're finished, man. Books contain knowledge, and knowledge is power. The application of knowledge, the capacity for knowledge to build it out, the exposure to knowledge to bring on new ideas. You'll read a book, right? So let's say you're reading this big book, and it's like this thick. I remember I read this one book, and man, I tell you, it was a slog. but it was a slog, and I got one gem out of it. That was just, was like, man, you know what? I spent how many hours reading that book, and yeah, it was okay, but that one gem, and that led me to something else. And that led me to something else, and ended up following this really interesting pathway. Like reading is a really fun way to explore reality, especially through the lenses of other artists and writers and things like that. One of my favorite sorts of, I guess you would call it, pastimes is to listen to really intelligent people speak. Now, some people might say, well, actually, Phil, that guy's not that intelligent. And it's like, you know what? He puts things together really well. He's a great modern explainer, like a Bob Smith or a Mark Rasmus, even, you know, like they're just really good at framing things into short, understandable, and punchy kinds of relatable data packets. And The Critical Drinker, he's a YouTube film critic and game critic. Man, that guy, he's becoming so popular because he can articulate things in such a way that it makes sense, and you feel smarter after listening to him. You don't have to agree with him. You can totally disagree with him. But his ability to put things into words and use good words, I have to say, as a teacher and someone who likes becoming a teacher, like, because it's so fun. Creative teaching is a lot of fun. Learning about synonyms, synonymic language. Once you get into exploring synonyms, how things are similar, but they're also different, you can see how when words get swapped out in public language, that the part of the original meaning can get lost. And without going too hardcore tinfoil hat here, when you look at old texts moving forward into the modern age and you see how the translation changes periodically, and they go, oh, now this is a better word for that. And it's like, is it? This is why studying etymology, or the root, the roots of language, the original meanings of words, they have a power to them. We've become too, what would you call it? Connotative. We've adapted new meanings. You know, what's the current popular meaning of this word? What was the original one? And that's one of the things Mark Passio really nailed home, was like, and another one was Michael Tessarian. So Mark Passio, actually, I'm going to put that up there. I wonder if YouTube will have a spaz. Mark Passio and Michael Tessarian. These guys are well worth checking out. You don't have. I'm not saying you agree with them and everything they say is right, but what I'm saying is that these guys are very well researched, and they will open new doors of perception for you as far as how knowledge is created, disseminated, changed for better or for worse. Great, Jason. Awesome, man. Yeah. I've got my copy there. Maybe I'll put it by the bed. Maybe you know, if anyone else out there, if you've got a copy of the Gita, and maybe we'll just pull a chapter out every so often, because that's the fun part, man. So you get the Bible or Initiation into Hermetics, or just one of these big tomes, and you just flick through and go, close your eyes, and where you go, okay, page number 65, line number 3 from the bottom, and then you read that, and then sometimes you'll find this magic piece of wisdom there. Awesome. That'd be fun. I might start doing that, actually. You know, something I thought about doing was like, I don't know about doing book readings. Yeah, maybe. I thought about doing some book reviews, though. I've got a lot of cool books. Should probably start doing that. I have to set the camera up, point down. Yeah, so the divine marriage of our intellect and our intuition. And, you know, one is not enough. We need both of them. We need them working with and for each other, essentially supporting each other, because they're two halves of a I was gonna say a sandwich, but me and food, right? So says the skinny guy. But yeah, this is it. And the cool thing is I've got I've actually got an image somewhere that I made, and I've kind of got this sort of analogy of like or this visual kind of metaphor of like crossing over a bridge. You use your intellect, you use initiation into Hermetics to give you the understanding, the intellectual grasping, because we're raised to be intellectual generally, especially in the West, and to a fault, even over rational, and then we can use that to get momentum to move across the bridge, and then that momentum can carry us into our intuition on the other side of the bridge, and then we go to that land, and then we come back and we meet sort of halfway on the bridge there, and we like go, oh, okay, I've got both of these faculties. I can vet. I've got access to incoming, subtle, nuanced, clear information, clear sentience, clear audience, clairvoyance, whatever. But I also have the intellectual capacity to flesh it out and discern the value, and to, like I said, to vet it. Because being an ex-muso, or having so much time spent as a musician and developing my ear, I can pick up local chatter, and I can hear my clear audience it's getting better. I've got to say it. Sometimes it's real sharp and sometimes it's not. But it's definitely given me a leg up, and I get a lot of stuff coming through. Now, if I went and told people, I said, hey man, like I'm hearing all these voices. I mean, what are people going to say, right? I think there's a lot more people hearing voices that will admit to it, but because there's a social stigma around it, it's like, well, and I think too that, there's a lot of voices coming through and a lot of stuff. It's going to sound like you, or it could sound like someone else, but you got to just go, okay, well, you just hold it out there and go, this piece of data came in. I'm just going to look at it. Okay, yeah, maybe. Oh, hang on. Nah, that's looking a bit dodgy. What about this angle? There's value in that. Okay, this one's telling me to drive my car into a bit. What? You've got to go. Tassarian is a blast from the play. Yeah, man. He's got. I think he's gone a bit quiet. He was doing what was it? Unslaved with the Truth Warrior. I can't remember his name. David. He's a martial arts guy in Canada, and they were making great stuff together. But yeah, Tassarian, he talks a lot about philosophy and secret societies and the architects of control. But he's produced so much material. But it's always I always used to feel smarter after listening to Michael speak. Very conspiratorial, though, very. And so, you got to, when you rock into one of these combos, you're like, okay, well, I'll seek out what's useful, but you got to be open to it too. I mean, to think that, I've worked in corporate, guys, and some of these nice people that I used to hang out with, we'd sit around the table and sociopath mode comes on, and yeah, so I'll just leave that there. It's interesting because God is telling the hero to unalive millions of people, including his own family members, in a great battle. It's very different than the Jesus stories, let's say. Yeah, that Gita is, that could be somewhat related to the Old Testament, sort of like fire and brimstone version. And yeah. Oh yeah, man. Apparently Tassarian doesn't like Passio for some reason or other. I think it's because Passio is an anarchist. And not the Hollywood anarchist either, but yeah, heavy stuff. All right. It's actually, especially when it's backed up with like, tangible sorts of like evidences and things that make you go, oh shit. Because your ability to connect dots, right? To see relationships between things that seem, those things aren't related. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. Hang on. How do you use IIH when you heal a client in Reiki? Okay. So I tell you what, I'm going to just, let's do this. I'm going to be back in 3 minutes, guys. Hold tight. Oh, wow, there's more people than when I started. That's awesome. Oh, you guys are too good, man. All right. I'm presuming you guys can hear me okay. So let's see. So somebody entered a comment question. How do you use IIH when you heal a client in Reiki? Okay. So I'm just going to strip out the words IIH, Franz Barden, Reiki, Mikao Sui, all that stuff. And say, okay, so I'm an energy healer. What does that mean? So I help people, like seriously, they get on a table, they got a sore thing, or they're feeling crap, or they're just can't think straight, or something's going on, right? And they get on the table, and I've read so many different energy healing modality stuff thingies, mental gymnastics, do this and do that and doodly doodly do. And the IIH material has helped me to make sense of them all. I can see the common underlying sort of mechanics of why they work and why they're different and all this type of thing. And how do I use IIH as a Reiki practitioner? What it's done is it's helped me to make sense of the practices from the system of Reiki as sort of the most famous version of it. Which most of the practices have been left behind, because generally speaking, when you're going to do a Reiki course, you're going to learn symbols. That's it. It's like, I've got the magic symbols, and I've had someone give me the magic attunement. And it's like, man, I was doing healing stuff before I went and did a Reiki class. People say, oh, Reiki's not that great, or, like I found something better and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like going, is your Reiki, are you doing daily Reiki cultivation? Because there's precepts to condition your astral body and your general conduct, which flavors the energy. I mean, IIH says very clearly, like you can pass on psychic contamination to others. I mean, that's not exactly new information. Most people know that. If you're like really sick, if you've got no energy, or if you're angry, or if you're just all over the place, you don't go do healings on people. You could make them worse. They could end up healing you, and then you could pass on your bad stuff to them. If you're going to get into healing, you want to stay in good condition. And that's what initiation to Hermetics is great for, is it helps you really understand the cleaning up process so you can be effective. Now, if you're going to put all the pressure on yourself of like going, right, I'm going to go and heal everyone from everything, like good luck with that. You're going to get disappointed, and you're going to have to be disappointed so that you just pull back a bit. And, I mean, a lot of people would love to be Jesus level healers. Reality is that the bro was a legit master. Well, the stories say so anyway. He was doing all sorts of stuff. And, if you read the first chapter, or the first books, or even the first book, I think Matthew of the New Testament, and you go through and you just see all the things that Jesus did, you can go, oh, I can see through initiation to Hermetics how that might have been done. But as far as how I use IIH, well, I mean, it's just my practice, really. I mean, one thing I do is that, part of my practice is that I go out into the net and out into the wilderness. I'm not quite in a wilderness. I live in an urban area, but we've got bush down the back, a reserve, and I go out there and I breathe in and I pump myself full of vital force. I do bone marrow washing and these types of things. Barden doesn't talk about that, but I got that from other sources, and that's awesome stuff. But basically, I charge myself up to make sure that I'm firing on all cylinders, and then I will do what Barden says, and then I will expand that past myself. I guess what it is it's just helped me to make sense of it, especially that appendix to section 3 or step 3. That, like all of my healer friends, I say, look, man, you want to get this book, you want to read it from end to end, but especially go for that section 3, because that will make a lot of sense to you. And I mean, I've managed to get a couple of people to buy the book, but if anything, the Franz Barden book has helped me to make sense of why certain exercises were chosen for the original system of Reiki as devised by Mikao Sui. There's a couple of things still not quite sure about, but they're probably not that important in some ways, and I can detail that. The system was designed to be accessible to people of various learning styles as well. So where Barden is like, everyone do this, do this, do this, and this, regardless of your makeup, composure, life experience. That, although that does come a bit later on when he introduces like, choose your preference of deity and these types of things. You don't have to do all the exercises. You don't have to make a wax doll. You don't have to do this or that. If you just cut out all the stuff that maybe you don't need and you just want to get to Akasha and light, then, there's a pathway for that too. But, as far as healing goes, yeah, it's just good hygiene stuff in there. Looking after yourself, being able to stay focused. Reiki doesn't really talk about, the system doesn't really, or nowadays anyway, doesn't really talk about focus and that. It's more, it's funny, there's not a lot of, I don't hear from the, I guess, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but from the New Age community, I'm not sure if that's the right one, but I don't hear them talk a lot about concentration. They'll talk about mindfulness, but they don't talk about concentration. And there's a cost to that, not bringing that into your practice. It's great to be aware of the environment, like, wow, look at that. But then being able to concentrate and being able to hone the will. I'm not saying people who don't concentrate don't get things done, because they can concentrate in other areas, but it was just an observation. And that, I'll say that for another time. All right. How you guys doing out there anyway? Thanks everyone. I appreciate you. I genuinely appreciate you. Thank you. I'm really grateful. This is really fun. I can just jump on live and a bunch of people show up. You love the content apparently, or sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, whatever. I mean, I've got to admit, I haven't gone that wide with the scope of like the interviews and the content, but it is nudging out that way. Like I said, this wasn't really intentionally an OnlyFans channel, because there's a lot more that ties in. But I think what I found is that people that share a love and appreciation and practice of Franz Bardon, what I found largely is that those people who appreciate the value of that gentleman and his books, they tend to be good people to connect with. We share an underlying appreciation for that. And like I said, even though there are some very divergent views in the Bardon community, and some of them are being highlighted at the moment, which is awesome, because like I said, it's being handled very much a gentleman's debate in some ways. It makes for a good foundation, I think, in what I've discovered so far. Whereas, certain other sort of systems, I've been in those groups and just been completely put off because it's adversarial, or it's hostile, or it's like any social media where people are just arguing about stuff. And it's like, if people want help, I'm happy to help. I used to get involved in all sorts of online discussions about things, but it's just energy sapping, time wasting. Look, arguing about things on the internet. There's important things that I want to deal with before I leave this world. And so, okay. Oh, we've got a comment. Woohoo! Thank you. Thank you. So once again, I'm going to say to you, please go here. Please go here and give me your email address. Sign up. You don't have to pay. That would be awesome if you did. But there's heaps of perks, like using Substack for the videos. And just, I kind of think that a lot of us have, I'm not pointing at you. I'm just saying there's a lot of people who've become a bit too addicted to Facebook and YouTube, Instagram and all that. And people, these big platforms rely on people getting lazy with these kinds of things. And they capture the market, and then they start curating the material, and we get censorship and, omission. You get things left out. I talked about this before. There's a TED talk by a lady, Cheryl Atkinson. She used to be, I think, a CBC reporter, and she got fired because she went somewhere she wasn't supposed to go. She did a TED talk where she talked about astroturfing, which is basically the first 20, 30, 40 search results on Google are all manicured. They don't think you're going to go any deeper than that. And so, things are going to get left out. Censorship by omission. Substack doesn't appear to be that. It's so great for creators. They only take like a 10% cut. Patreon, I'm not sure. I think that's up to 30 now because of something else. And YouTube's like 30. So, but Substack, no ads. and you can listen to it without watching it, and you can flick back and forth and save your data and things like that if that's a thing. It's just better, guys. It's just better at the moment. So please go there, give me your email address in case for whatever reason we get cut off and we can still stay in touch. I can send you stuff directly to your inbox. I should probably start doing more stuff on Substack. Actually, at the moment, I'm just sort of mirroring my YouTube. I am on Odyssey as well. For those of you that like Odyssey, I'm on Odyssey. This channel is being mirrored. Well, not mirrored. It's all transferred. And man, that was such an easy process. Those guys are awesome. Actually, I know a dude who knows the CEO. And just a name drop. Not that there was an actual name dropped. Yeah, love. I think, you just pick a word, and obviously the Greeks had a few different words for the word for love, different types of love. What do we have? Agape, eros. What else do we have? There's about 4 or 5 of them, weren't they? I can't remember. But just thinking about, I just love seeing other people do well. I love it when somebody comes up and says, bro, you won't believe it. Check this out. And regardless of what it is, they're excited. They're full of life. They're just bigger. They're standing upright. They're just really excited and engaged and inspired and intrigued or whatever. It's like, man, that's great, bro. I want to feed off some of that, man. Yeah, just go and hang out and do the thing. I think it's like, you're probably like me. You probably know a lot of people who aren't doing so well, and maybe that's you. And I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Sometimes I get my flat spots too, right? It's just part of the thing while we're here, right? We've got to experience the ups and downs. The pendulum swings both ways. So, be kind to yourself and recognize, there's a lot of people out there struggling and stuff. And so you being like jacked up on joy and love and appreciation and gratitude and stuff. Man, I go for a walk. I say hi to everyone. And again, I think I need to spend less time doing video editing. I was up pretty late last night. I'm doing some sizable circles. I go for a walk and I see everyone. Hey, how you going? And there's heaps of people walking dogs around here. So it's always like, I see you. What's up, dog? But yeah, you can turn people's day around just by saying hi and giving them a smile, crack them, jostle them out of their problems. Because a lot of people are dealing with stuff. A lot of us have maybe walked away from certain parts of the world and we're focusing on ourselves and we're maybe trying to reintegrate back into society or whatever it is. Spread that smiles. That shit's free, man. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere. And I just find that generally speaking, that 99% of the time, it works out very well. Not that I'm doing it for an outcome, although I have to say I enjoy seeing other people smile. I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed being an entertainer back in the day was, seeing people go, oh, like this, oh my gosh, that's so cool, or that's really good, or man, you're good, or whatever it is, like I'm like going, bro, you think I'm good? You should check out my mate. But that's just me. That's how we all talked back in the day. Some of us thought we were pretty good. And we were okay, but there's always someone who's got a level of technical prowess. Maybe they haven't got the tasty chops though. I always preferred the musos that were just tasty players. Technical ability is great, but if it isn't couched in some kind of aesthetic, like somebody playing a flurry or a wall of notes at you, I mean, then there's the guy. I mean, I've got a blues track that I put up yesterday as well. It's called Groovy, and it's me just having a jam, and it's a bit of silly guitar, sort of La La Land stuff, but it's got some gritty stuff. But I want to make it all tasty, and that's why I like some of those old cool blues players, like B.B. King, great example, man, that cat can, or he could. Man, could he sing, and man, could he play some tasty stuff on the guitar using only a small handful of notes, even in one position on the guitar. Like, check it. Like, there's this thing called the BB box, which is basically a box of 4 notes. But it's all like really punchy kind of like, there's emphasis, there's attitude, and there's and it's here we go. It's saying something. You can speak a lot of words but not say anything. And then you can also say this much, but wow, man, that's powerful. What do we got? Comments. How much can Reiki heal at the highest level? Okay, so I'm going to share something from my personal experience as a Reiki practicer. Well, it's just as an energy healer. I mean, I don't really differentiate between the two. I mean, how many different branches of Christianity are there? How many different branches of Reiki are there? I don't practice the original system. I've looked at it. There's value in it. There's aspects that I pull from. The reason generally I use the word Reiki is because it's the most sort of popular word. If I tried to bring in a new word into the market, it'd be very hard. It'd be unfamiliar. But that may change. Maybe one day I'll be quantum healing dude or something. Probably not though. There's so many different names out there. But essentially, we want to be trying to help people. And so I kind of see the hangman card, that no, it's not compromise, but it's like, it's not about me. It's about the thing that I'm doing and what I'm offering. And what I'll say is this: how much can Reiki heal at the highest level? I can't talk for all Reiki practices. I can't talk whether they're doing crystal Reiki or symbol Reiki or mantra Reiki or they're quantum Reiki or holy fire Reiki or whatever. I know what I've experienced. I will comment on personal experience. And what I will say is this: for those of you who are maybe about halfway through IIH, or you've been watching and listening to this channel, or the other commentators, teachers, speakers, authors, bloggers, doodly doos, you will hear this word come up called the Akasha. And there is a color association with the Akasha, which is generally considered to be like a dark violet, sort of black, okay? Or the purple, called the purple. And obviously we can see the color purple. That was Franz Baden's favorite color, apparently. And this purple color keeps coming up. We see it in royalty. We see it, it's at the other end of that. If you start from the bottom with the rainbow association colors with the chakras, we get to the top and we get to the sort of the violet purple at the top, although it's more of a white sort of purple, which is more indicative of working with Akasha and light. But this violet or this purple, that was the most common color that people would see, or that, well, I should say that people see on the table. You got to get them relaxed though, in a lot of cases, because if they're sitting in a chair, they might see something. But sometimes you're better to get them relaxed as possible. And that's why studying KTQ is really valuable as a healer, because when you see all the colors, that's the color associations, you might start to understand, like, you can start making sense of why people are seeing colors. It can give you a reference point. But the most common color that people would see, that they would tell me they would see on the table, was, without a doubt, 100% was purple. The deep, deep stillness. And somebody asked me this on a stream the other day, how does Reiki compare to, say, Orgone, which is Wilhelm Reich. And Orgone, when it was gathered or accumulated in a box, would appear sort of like a light blue, and that would be more closer to the vital level. Whereas Reiki doesn't specify a particular strata of the energy. We have vital, astral, mental, Akasha, light, and then of course there's slices in betweens too. There's gradations, degrees. But as far as as far as like my understanding is that Reiki is not one particular type of energy. It's energy, because it even means, like, Ray means God, essentially, universal energy. And I haven't got the book here, but there was a book I had recently, in Mikao Sui, the founder of the system of Reiki, the one that became popular anyway, because people were doing healing before Reiki came along. People think he rediscovered something. It's like he had a universal mind experience after being, fasting and sitting under a waterfall. And I think he just cracked open his crown and then just had a universal light experience, and, started reverse engineering the system there. I would say, depending on who you listen to about Barden, apparently he's a walk-in, had all these chops, and he had to figure out how to reverse engineer it so he could teach it. But, in my experience, like Mikao Sui even said, he was trying to get in touch with the God energy. It's almost like lawful healing energy. I consider Reiki to be like a passive healing modality, personally. Because Barden says, for example, don't heal people if you know you're not supposed to heal them, because you don't want to get mixed up in their karma. If it's some people are here to be sick, and it's not your job to interfere, and that can be hard. But the bottom line is, I found, is some people just don't get healed. Most people get something. To be fair, largely, most people get some kind of outcome, and it's different in every case. Some people don't get what they came in for. Some people get absolutely nothing, and the previous time they might have got a great outcome. It's really curious. But my understanding is that Reiki deals with a full spectrum. It's not a specific, it's not astral or mental. It's kind of like, I've been thinking about how to represent this pictorially. I'm always thinking about this. And I saw Jake from Mystery College. He hit 750 subs the other day. Bro, well done, Jake. Yay. Go, Jake. Well done, bro. He's a hardworking dude. He was talking about getting into creating animations and things like that. He did a post. Go and check his thing out. Jake at Mystery College, guys. Really lovely guy. Really lovely guy. And I think that I've been toying with some animation programs for a while now. I've been looking at working with Unreal Engine and things too, because as a teacher, we want to take advantage of the modern tools. But yeah, I'm constantly thinking about how to depict things in imagery, because we can relate to that. We live in very much a visual time, don't we? With memes and video and these types of things. So I would say that Reiki's almost like the WD-40 or the CRC in some ways. It's like almost like a cure-all, but it doesn't necessarily, in the early stages of doing this stuff, I think it's surface level in some cases. Like, you know what? I can only speculate, because there have been such a vast number of very different cases of situations and things. Like I said, some people get in crazy outcomes. Like, when I say crazy, I'm going to rephrase it. I'm going to make it more sciencey and say they have highly unlikely remissions from acute and chronic ailments. Highly unlikely by modern standards. That's not possible. Must be placebo. Oh, that placebo word. Somebody dropped that to me the other day. Oh, I don't know about that Reiki. I think it's all just placebo. And it's like, well, what's placebo, bro? Oh, well, yeah, it's just you know what? Placebo is a very handy word for people who, just to marginalize something and go, oh, I must just be placebo. We can't explain it, so we'll just call it that. I did a whole big deep dive on placebo years ago. There's a guy called Wayne Jonas, WayneJonas. He's got a great video on placebo effect. He goes into so much. And it's probably all placebo, to be fair. But what is placebo? It's just a word. It's not a very good word, because it's just like, it's a catch-all word that doesn't really give you a much deeper understanding. So hopefully, Buddy Boulder, that answers your question. How much can Reiki heal at the highest level? I think it's basically God energy, for lack of a better term. And if you don't, it's funny, like if you go to two people who have both trained the same with Reiki, and your situation doesn't get sorted by the first person, but it gets sorted by the second, from my sciencey kind of point of view, it's like, well, maybe you need more than one session, or maybe that other one of the people isn't, hasn't got it's not for them to do that thing for you. I don't know, maybe. It's just one of the reasons I like healing is because it's not a same shit different day kind of thing. It's more, it keeps things interesting because on one hand you get to interact with different people and with different energy signatures, and part of the process is that we're learning how to listen and read and understand people's needs, because we want to address their needs. And some people have got a lingering ailment. They've taken the lesson, but for some reason the ailment lingers around. Now, they may have been given that ailment from providence, from God, whatever, to help them learn something. However, it's stuck around. Now, it's like, God, why'd you give me? Thanks for the thing, but can you get rid of it? It's like, did he forget? I don't know how it works. Honestly, I don't know. Like, it's really curious because we're trying to make sense of things that are essentially above our pay grade in a lot of cases, and it can be quite frustrating because we really want to provide the best outcomes for people that we can, and if we can't do that, we can feel frustrated. But I found that one of the most valuable lessons that I've gotten from being a healer is that people will get what they get. And if somebody doesn't get anything and they get pissed off and they think, it's like, I'm like, well, you're coming for one session. This might have dislodged something much deeper. This stuff deals generally with causes rather than symptoms. It'll help you numb your pain, sort your pain out in a lot of cases. I think it sort of comes at it from both ends, like the deep root and also the what would I call it? The symptom level as well, the surface layer. And this is really useful because just helping people relax is a really great skill. Okay, here we go. Somebody just asked me about Gibson guitars, so I'm gonna share this. So, what are my thoughts on Gibson guitars? I'm going to share a quick story on my experience with Gibson guitars. So, on the left here, this was my Les Paul that I purchased many, many years ago. Never mind the flag. This is a different part of my life. I just thought it was fun. I wanted to make a cool picture. But it was a 2009 Les Paul. It wasn't the standard one. It had a skinny neck, what they call a fast neck. It was sexy looking, man. I wanted something with uncovered humbuckers and and I wanted one that was like a tobacco sunburst, like Slash, because I was a big fan of Slash. And it was an absolute lemon, to be fair. Couldn't stay in tune. You could tune it to play open chords beautifully, but as soon as you moved up the neck and played barred chords, it wouldn't stay in tune. It was great for electric, like just wailing and stuff, like it was beautiful. But that was a $4,500 New Zealand guitar. And man, I tell you what, you didn't want to hurt this thing because it's such a beautifully crafted piece of kit. It wasn't the Slash one I just want to add to. It was actually quite a different one. It had green inlays and it was a slightly different spec. But that other one there was a guitar I bought in Wellington when I lived there from a guy that made them out of old bits and pieces. He Frankenstein. That was actually a pretty fun guitar. It didn't stay in tune that well though. Essentially though, my favorite guitar ended up being my white Strat that I had. I bought a genuine American Strat and modded that up, and that was a hot guitar. So Gibson guitars, if you got the money, awesome. Their quality control did drop for a long time. You'd probably be better off buying an Epiphone, to be fair, to get a better quality one, and just swap the pickups out of it. But But yeah, this thing didn't stay in tune, and it turned out that it was the third string, and the only way I could fix it was to put a wound third on it, and like from an acoustic guitar, and it wasn't that fun to play. And so I learned a lot about guitars from that, but I ended up selling it for a couple of grand, and I was grateful to shift it on because it was so frustrating. But yeah, and they're also really heavy too. But my Strat, beautiful guitar. See if I can find a picture of me with the Strat, if I can. Okay, actually, I'll just come back to this for a sec. I'm on the cusp of diving into initiation into Hermetics. I need to know more. What does a day of step 1 look like? Okay. So I would say, like anything, you want to familiarize yourself with the entire book. Just read through it. Just have it on the side, right? But if you get to step 1, let's just pull it out here, right? Okay, so there's 3 aspects of the training. You're training the 3 bodies in each step. So there's 10 steps, just like there's 10 Sephiroth on the Tree of Life. And each step is you're training each part of the body, each one of the 3 bodies. You're schooling the spirit, the soul, and the physical, the vital body separately with certain things. And so let's just have a look here. What does a day of step 1 look like? Well, I mean, from the point of view of the mental body training, you're learning how to just watch your thoughts rise and fall away. Basic Vipassana type mindfulness training. What you're doing is like you're establishing that there is you and that your thought is a thing. You're establishing a clear boundary, a distance, a separation between you and your thoughts. And so that starts to eventuate in the realization that you are not your thoughts. Where do these thoughts come from? My best advice is just to sit there and just take an interest in like what your thoughts are coming up with, like what thoughts are coming up out of the mind stuff, what bubbles up out of the mind stuff. I wonder what my mind's going to come up with today. So you just sit on the chair with the popcorn, like I said, probably not the popcorn. And so I just turn on Me TV, put a cover on, keep the IC, and just say, okay, all right, mind, what you got? And it'll start popping up, and then the thought will come up and rise and fall away. The trick is that you don't want to get caught up in the thought and let it take you for a ride, and then you start thinking about other things. That's not the exercise. The idea is that you can just go, there's a thought. It looks like this, smells like this, tastes like this, feels like this. Okay, sweet as. Maybe you feel a reaction to it, and you got to write these things down afterwards. So one of the best things I got was you get one of these or a timer or something, set it for 2 minutes, sit there and just watch your thoughts for 2 minutes. Rise and fall away. Get up, rise and fall away. And then once the 2 minutes is up, you set another 2 minutes, and then you write for 2 minutes and just write what you recall. And that helps to build up your memory recall. So you're just getting to know the mental landscape, but you're not engaging it. The second exercise is, once you can kind of do that one for at least I think Barden says 5 minutes from memory, you want to then pick one of those thoughts and just hold it. So you've got the mental landscape, you're separating yourself from the thing. So there's you, the thing, or the things that are emerging, and then the space in between. So there's 3 things. And you're establishing that fact and making it very real for yourself that is the case. And then you are, you pick one of them and you just hold it. And you're like, okay, I am the master. Because you're mastering your inner world. And so you want to hold that thing there, right? Another way you can do it is, and this is a bit different, this deviates from Barden a little bit. I do both. And that is to just do single point concentration, where you get an object, you put it there, and you just focus on it and hold it. And you might hold the timer in your hand and go, right, go. And you just focus like a pit bull. And then when your mind wanders, okay, how'd I get on? All right, 1 minute 30. Okay, that's my high score. Barden says, set the timer or whatever for 2 to 5 minutes, and then get your beads. And whoops, every time your mind wanders, flick a bead, flick a bead, flick a bead. Notice I'm saying flick a bead. All right, move a bead. Okay, and then measure your failures. And that was interesting, because I heard Mark Rasmus said, no, do it the other way around. Measure your successes. How long can you do it for? And then set that and have it in your hand, like have it there, so you're not like fidgeting or anything like that. Like make it like focus on the thing. The third exercise is vacancy of mind. So first of all, you establish the mental landscape. There's you, there's the thoughts arising, things jumping up, falling away, wee, and then there's the space. Then you learn how to hold that one of those objects. And I also do like eyes open, hold a thing. And then you then shift your gaze from the thing to the stillness or the space in between you and the thing. So there's you, there's the thoughts, there's the space in between. Then you learn how to hold a thought and maneuver it. So you're taking control of the activity that's playing out. Okay. And you, right, stay there. I'm the boss. This is my mind. We're taking ownership. You hold it. Cool. That's the next exercise. You got to be able to do that for 2 to 5 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a good round starter just to get good at something. It's good to feel like you're accomplishing something. If you set yourself lofty heights, you may become, and if you're not a disciplined person, you may become a bit deflated by not experiencing success. So give yourself realistic proficiency goals, like do it for 1 minute, do it for 2 minutes, do it 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, just up your game. Barden brings that stuff in with other things. He says, do it once, do it twice, do it 3 times, like all breathing, blah, 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 blah. The third exercise is that you take your mind from the object that you've stilled, and then you shift your gaze towards the space between you and the thing. And that is the space. And then that starts to expand out and flood. And then you become free and you become into vacancy of mind. And that's the first 3 mental exercises. Now, when it comes to the soul training or the training of the soul, this is more to do with your emotional kind of patterns, and so what we're doing is that the soul body, or it's kind of around the solar plexus heart area, is an arbitrary kind of geographical 3D time space marker sort of thing. It's around here. You can feel stuff, you feel stuff with your heart, and that what you're doing is that the bottom line is know thyself. That's it. Know thyself. Know your patterns. Get to know yourself. Yeah. Number one. So you get your black and white mirror out. You get a book and you paint one side black and one side white. So for example, I'll just use this as an example. I've got one of these little exercise books like the kids get for school and all that. And basically paint one side black, the other side white, turn it upside down so it still makes sense when you turn it around. And maybe when you get to the middle, it meets. A good way to start, I found, is to go to the middle of the book. Go to the middle of the book and go on the left side, go black mirror, do that one first. It's right side, do the white mirror. Black and white soul mirrors are essentially you are getting to know yourself by writing down your strengths on one side and your weaknesses on the other, your vices and your virtues, your flaws and your genius, so to speak. And you're starting to clearly map your personality out. And this will be of utmost importance because you're essentially going to have all these spikes in your personality. Like I said, this book is a catch-all. So it's designed to work for everybody. So it's like wherever you're at, you realign yourself with this particular process. And you write these things out and you're just getting to know yourself. Actually, you write it out in the first step? Yeah, so you write them all down, and I think then of course you categorize them into elemental influences. So what you're doing is you're starting to think like an element-based magician. Most of the traditions use the elements. It's like a information categorization system to show how information can be separated into different piles, how it relates to each other, how some are opposites or complementary opposites. We see overlaps. We're just trying to make sense of things that otherwise we just take for granted. So that's the soul training. So step 1 mental, step 1 astral, Frazzle Bacon, and then the so the physical body is about the magical brushing and washing, which is very powerful. Like I do that every day, man. And I'll take that back. When I don't do it, I go and I do it because nothing feels like it. Not a cold shower, not a hot shower, then a cold shower, brushing yourself down, filling up a basin full of water. Obviously, maybe they didn't have showers back in the Czech Republic back in the day. Communism and technological advancements not available and all that type of thing. But, filling a tub with water or a basin, and then getting a wet flat, charging the water, blessing the water, and then washing yourself down slowly, and then washing the stuff off you, whatever you see that to be. Barton talks about it. You might see white light or golden light or all the crap and the filth just washing away. You would just feel amazing after it. There's nothing else like it. Like I said, not even a cold shower. Like, there's something about attending to yourself meticulously and methodically. If you're in a cold shower, you're just like trying to wash yourself down to get out of there, and then you're but when you do this, it's very good, and you'll cool your body down slowly, and you'll wake yourself up gently and with charged water. You can do this in a shower as well. Now, the other part is the mystery of breathing. And so you learn about the breath and the conscious intake of nourishment, the magic of water. Yeah. I've got to keep reading through the book. I cover a lot of material. I mean, most of the stuff is just every day for me. So getting into specifics, a lot of teachers there are a number of teachers out there that will speak of basically practicing steps 1, 2, and 3 all together, because there's passive things you just bring into your everyday life. And getting up in the morning, brushing and washing yourself. You get a body brush. There's lots of benefits to that, I'm told. Washing yourself down, your relationship to how you eat and engage your food. It's not just something you rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. It's actually like you are completely present with the meal, it's rather than eating food, it's the conscious taking in of food. So you have a relationship to the process. You could think of it as a sacred act. Your body is a gift. It allows your spirit to operate on this physical plane. And so you want to give it some love, man. And it needs food. And so give it the food and use that opportunity. Martin Falk said it best when he says, look, if you're not doing this, it's basically a missed opportunity, because that food can be impregnated. Eucharist. And you can have wish fulfillment through the food process. So you're using your beads, you're doing mantras like, I'm trying to give up smoking, or, you would say, I am a non-smoker. Not me. I quit smoking years ago, but, and then you'll bring it into your food, and then you'll bring it into the breath as well. You can breathe in these charged sorts of ideas, and you can make good progress in a short space of time. Look, seriously, when you do your black and white mirror, if there are some glaringly obvious hindrances and flaws in your personality that you're like, oh yeah, look, it's true. I'm a dick. You write it down. I'm a dick. I'm a dick when I do this, or when this happens, or to this person, or whatever. And you detail it. You get very specific. It's not you're judging yourself. You're just objectively mapping out your personality. But you write it down. You go, okay, well, that one there gets in the way of so much enjoyment in my life. Maybe it's just you getting wound up every time you have to talk to someone, or see something, or go to do something. You got to make peace with that stuff, because all it's going to do is just drive you nuts, and it's going to impact your practice and the quality of your practice, and it might even stop you from having a good night's sleep. Make peace with yourself before you go to bed each night. Forgive yourself, forgive others, all that sort of thing. Take the best thoughts into sleep. Barton talks about this. Start bringing peace into your life, guys. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things to get there that are deserved in some ways of righteous indignation and the sacred gift of anger. Some things do need a little bit of force of will behind it. There's different types of anger, these types of things, but it's a deployable function when it's used correctly. If it's just wild hate or just silly anger, you're getting angry over the football result to the point where you're actually lashing out at people. It's not helpful. Choose what, if you're going to get angry, make it worth your while, man. Don't hurt yourself or hurt other people, because you'll regret it. And yeah, it's your walk though. What are your thoughts about Gibson guitars? Already done that. Played any guitars made from New Zealandish trees? I've played other people's guitars. We have this thing in New Zealand called swamp kauri. We have a tree in New Zealand called a kauri tree, Kauri. I believe they're our biggest tree, and they're our oldest trees for the most part, and well, some of them definitely. And I think even our biggest tree in New Zealand is a kauri tree. And we have all this swamp kauri, which is essentially these trees that have fallen and have been submerged in swamps and have been there for 20, 30,000 years. And it's a bit of like a black market trade, and these things get stolen and sent overseas and that, because it's really highly prized for a bunch of reasons. It's properties, its uniqueness, and all this type of thing. But there's a guy who, there's a few of them actually, but there's one guy who made a beautiful guitar, carved it and figured it out of swamp kauri. And I don't know if the neck was made out of it, because necks are like on a guitar, the neck is really important. The body is important too, obviously. Like the neck needs to be robust and to be able to manage temperature fluctuations to an extent too. There's resonance potential in the neck material. Like sometimes the fretboard, you can say, hang on, might not be able to see it, but there's a black line there. Sometimes the fretboard is made out of a different wood than the neck, but generally the body. And this particular guitar had a body made out of swamp kauri, and it was beautiful. But I played lots of different guitars, and I don't always know what they're made out of. A lot of them are the usuals, like maple and alder and mahogany, and a lot of that sort of stuff. The old pine guitar. But yeah, there's plenty of bros around the country, bros and sisters, who are rocking native wood guitars, and they've got a specialness about them. Can you heal yourself with IIH or Reiki? Well, why not find out? Put it to the test, man. Like pore breathing, I think that's in step 3. It even starts in step 1, but pore breathing, once you learn how to build the ball, I've got to make a video on this. It's on Mark Rasmus, but Bob Smith has got a build the ball course as well. Everyone generally does build the ball, because that's the place where it sort of starts nowadays, because you can really feel energy straight away. Once you get out there and do pore breathing, and you'll pack your whole body, even if you're not doing build the ball, if you're just doing what Barden says and you're breathing in and you're feeling the tension and building the tension, you're basically force infusing your body with this vital energy, and that will present certain healing outcomes. And Bob has mentioned this, from 60 Schools has mentioned this, and I tend to agree with him, that there are some things you can heal yourself from and some things you can't. And generally speaking, you're better off in some cases to go and see someone else to get a healing. Some things you just can't heal yourself from because you're in the super view. And so if you haven't got the energy already to heal yourself, how can you expect to heal yourself? But obviously, don't eat crappy stuff. Read labels. Become aware of toxins in foods, and you've got to explore all the stuff. I did all this years ago, and I got to say, even filtering your drinking water and stuff like that, or getting clean spring water that's not full of crap, man, all that stuff's going to help you out. Tai Chi, oh my gosh, Qigong, oh my gosh, the Hermetics process, especially with pore breathing and the element breathing stuff, you will start to notice the health benefits. As your body starts to sort of reorganize and recalibrate to optimal functioning because you're looking after yourself. Like, this is not just training psychic abilities. This is about all layers of reality getting a workout. And so you're becoming you're aiming towards becoming a somewhat elite operator on the planet and beyond, potentially, depending on, how far your level of interest and how far you're prepared to go with it. But yeah, I mean, Reiki, I would go and see someone, but I'd go and spend a lot of time in nature and do like get used to pore breathing. If you've got problems, you need to go and disclaimer, go and get the help that you need. Go and see I'm not going to say it actually, but you got to use your own discernment and judgment on that. But yeah, I mean, I've I mean, one thing about Reiki that kind of stands out a bit is that you do healing on yourself. Okay. And so one of the things you can do is build the ball, and then you can do this around your head, and you can put your hands here and you can feel the tension of the energy. I can feel it. And I've got a ball around my head. And you just set the intention, you charge the energy, because the energy is a programmable medium, right? Just like water and crystals and air in a sense too. Pardon me. We want to get lots of this energy to increase the potency, and then just go heal. And you might find that I've got to say, you can't be put off by the fact that things aren't instantaneous too. Some of us are very impatient people. Sometimes, not so much nowadays. Things will happen in time. And healing is a slow process. And sometimes you're sick because you've got to learn something about it. Someone who, and I believe there's someone in the chat who may be able to identify with this to an extent as well, is that, you know, actually, I'll use this instead. So I had a family member, they went into hospital for a long time, and they weren't able to do all the things they would normally do. So they had to learn how to live differently while they were in this unfortunate situation. But that forced them to change their habits, and they stopped doing a lot of bad stuff, and they started exploring new things and getting excited. And these new things that they started exploring, well, those old things that they used to do, they're off the table, man. They get in the way. Phil, was that you shredding on the guitar for that new music video? Yes, it was. Actually, all 3 of those videos that I've put up recently. In fact, 4 videos. There's 4 videos on my YouTube channel that you can find now. 3 yesterday. There's a short and 2 uploaded videos. And then if you scroll down the uploaded videos, you'll see another one of me playing live as well. So maybe I can bring that up and just show you guys. Oh, that doesn't want to work. So yes, no, I used to be a blues and rock muso. I played a lot of pop music too, mostly blues and rock, because that's what really does it for me. I just love wailing guitars and things like that. And so, where are we? View. Okay, so here's the Phil Rice channel. And there I am. Isn't that cool? Okay, and if you go scroll down here, so there's the 2 videos. So that's dark. That's the one the longer one, the 3 minute 33. I didn't plan that. I just want to say it just ended up being 3 minutes 33. This is the groovy one. This is me just jamming out some blues. That's some dirty blues, man. I'm way down in the weeds with that one. And then if you go to, and this one will appear because I put it up ages ago, but I took it off. If you go to videos and scroll down, here's me here with my band back in the day playing the Back in Black outro live at a party at a gig. And yeah, it was fun. It's all right, you know, like it's got some good grooves and that. Like my rhythmic playing, which was very influenced by Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, really comes out in that. Even though I never really learned to play a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan songs, I just like copying his rhythmic sort of like attack, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. So yes, that was me shredding. So I think, so I feel, so I act through divine inspiration, willpower, and sacred space, unity consciousness. It sounds like Reiki can really help one to maintain unity consciousness. Okay, so the precepts of Reiki are where it's at. Check this out. Just for today. Just for today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, just for this moment even. Right here, right now. Just for today. Do not anger. Where am I? Am I angry at anything? Yes, I am angry. I'm going to give myself the order to not be angry. I'm going to let myself not be angry. Isn't that wonderful? Just for today, do not worry. Or the other one is do not fear. Man, that takes a load off. That's very refreshing. Just for today, be grateful. Find something that you're really grateful for. A bunch of things even, and go through them and just really feel it. We're engaging our astral body here. This is astral body conditioning. Just for today, be true to yourself and others. Or also, the 4th precept is sometimes translated as be honest in your work. Be respectful of your elders and honest in your work, or be true to yourself and true to your way. You know when you're doing the wrong thing. Be honest with yourself, guys. And then the last one is, be kind to yourself, ... and others. So these first 5 precepts and the last one becomes about others, but first you condition yourself. Now, if you know how to pour, breathe, build a bubble around you full of chi, pack it in so it's quite thick, like fluidic, like astral fluid, like you want the astral energy in there. And then you run through these precepts, really thinking about them, and just their releases. You will feel this, oh, I'm not angry anymore. Oh, I'm not worried or fearful. Oh man, I'm grateful. And then you drop the heavy stuff, because anger and fear can be the source of so much. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to, as Yoda would say. I can't remember. Maybe someone could put it in the chat. But these anger and fear are the source of a lot of our problems in life. And there are a couple of easy catch-alls. I mean, if you go through the Barden book and see how he categorizes all the various elemental problems, or the negative emotional aspects, there's quite a lot of granularity and detail there. Whereas the precepts from Reiki, it's pocket size, man. You just have to remember those 5 precepts and spend a bit of time with them, contemplating them, thinking about, is there anywhere in my life that I'm angry? Yeah, if I'm really honest, there is. I'm angry that somebody didn't fill up the water jug, or blah, 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 pisses me off. Actually, it's a pet hate. Well, it's like, that's still a thing. So yeah, I'd say if you look, there's lots of stuff you can look at. So many books on Reiki. And I don't think anyone's truly discovered the real value of the precepts, but the best scholars that I can find on it, they know what's up. Yeah, look, even if you're a crappy person, just accept it. It's like I say to my friends who are smokers, like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go out for a smoke. I'm going to go for a gasper, and apologizing. It's like, bro, just go be a smoker, man. Just own that. Don't expect me to want to hang out with you, though. Accept yourself. Even the crappy stuff, and then go, oh God, yeah, I need some work. You got to accept this stuff. It doesn't mean you have to accept it forever. You're tolerating it to an extent. You're going to work on it though, right? Change yourself for the better, man. Life's good. Be honest with yourself. It's a bit tricky to start with, because you're going to have to confront yourself over some things, and that's part of the journey, isn't it? But just objectify it. Take that aspect of yourself, containerize it, externalize it, put it in front of you, get your cards out and go, right, okay, let's see that thing. I'm just going to pick a random card. Let's see. I'm going to pick, I'm angry. Okay, I'm going to pick a card. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm just going to pick this top card. What is it? It's a High Priestess. It's probably one of the most unangry cards I can think of. It's a water element type card. So put that down and go, okay. And that's a fun way to play, and go, okay, well, how does that relate to anger? It'll get you thinking about it a bit more abstractly as well. But, you might decide to read a book on tarot and go, okay, what are the negative aspects of the High Priestess if it comes up in a reading? Start playing with it, guys. Get playful with your practice. But yeah, don't be at odds with yourself. If you're in internal conflict, if you're saying this but doing that, you've got a fracture it's just blocking your progress, man. Like, you've got a pipe running down through you. It's a loose metaphor, and it's full of kinks, and it's blocked, and it's got holes in it. And it's basically your pipe to divinity. And what we're doing is we're seeking to straighten it and clear it and polish it up and make it work well, so that there's an easy, unobstructed, clean flow and throughput of connection. Tane Mahuta. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. The big tree. I tell you what, this is a great one. Yeah, I tell you, man, you're going to get tired and sick and tired of being a certain way after a while, and you're going to want to change. And sometimes it's got to get really bad before you make the change, eh? But it's like, it gets to the point where it's not even, I don't feel like doing it. It's like, oh, this just like, I just can't bother with this anymore. Like, this is just, it starts to creep in on your preferences. Oh, thank you, Heather. Yeah, I did play it back in the day when I was peaking. I was doing a lot of playing. My chops were a lot better. Like if I picked up the guitar now, I could probably still bust some stuff out. But haven't used a pick for so long. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, back in the day. Back in the day. Cool. Yeah, totally, man. Look, like this is a book of life, okay, you could say. And I think we've got to be conscious too, though, that don't paint yourself into a corner thinking that this is it. This can be. I think you got to remain flexible. Don't forget, there's the I Ching as well. The I Ching, that's a whole other way of looking at the world. And there are definitely relationships between them. But I think finding useful maps of understanding the landscape is very helpful. Getting to know your personal landscape, and tarot is a great way of doing that out. Oh, there we go. I was just talking about the hangman before, and there he is. Beautiful. And yeah, and tarot is great because obviously it uses the 4 elements, which we use in Barden. And a great place to start is get the minor arcana out. Probably leave the court cards out and just go from the ace, and just even leave you can leave the ace in. But the Rider-Waite deck's really great because it uses it's got pictures of people doing stuff. So as long as you can read Roman numerals and you know that that's a cups card or the hearts in the modern playing deck, because this is the origin of the modern poker deck and all the rest, it shows pictures of people doing stuff. Whereas, say, for example, in the Crowley, in the Harris Crowley deck, it's not a picture of people doing stuff. It's like the thing is set up in a geometrical pattern with some context. And don't get me wrong, this is very deep and there's a lot of symbolism in there. It's not very relatable for people who are starting out. And I got to say, the decks are still very different. They have very different personalities. But yeah, you can just lay out from one end to the other the minor arcana and say, just go for the, if you get your black and white soul mirror and then lay out like what you think, like you put your anger might be in fire, and then you'll go through the fire element cards in the wands, the suit of wands in tarot deck, and they go, well, which cards line up with this? You start getting playful with your development process and finding the correspondences. And Barden doesn't really talk about tarot apart from the fact that this is literally the first tarot card, the front cover, and then the other books are other tarot cards. But as far as divination goes, it's not so much that. It's more about relating to age-old or timeless methods of information organization and categorization to help make sense of the world. Because we might be into spiritual stuff, but we're also scientists as hermeticists as well. We want things to make sense to us. We're not necessarily after just spontaneous things to happen all the time. We're looking for reproducible, recordable, repeatable type things. Like if we want to have on-demand experiences, and we've got to train these things. And yeah, tarot is great. I mean, pick one of those minor arcana cards, pick a nice happy one, and then do a 5-minute meditation on that before you go to sleep at night. Leave your dream journal out so that your subconscious is like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, okay. So, or if we want to call it that, the dream poet is another one. And use that to basically front load yourself with a set of symbols. So you might have a dream about that card, but maybe the person is someone that and they're not holding cups. Maybe they're holding a different type of cup or something. It's going to be relatable and catered to you. That's where it gets really interesting. I think when you start dealing in universal law principles, things can become a little bit impersonal and quite sterile and bland in some ways. And so, remembering that this is a highly personal and unique journey, and finding ways to make it, personally relatable, interactive, and fun, the more you can do that, the better. Oh, nice one, Heather. Okay. All right. Once again, guys, please go to my Substack, philrice.substack.com. Give me your email address. I'm not saying buy my subscription, although that would be really cool. What I'm saying is give me your email address for whatever reason. If YouTube suddenly go hardcore and just start stripping people off, I've got your email so we can stay in touch. And into your questions and comments in the live chat. What is it? 2 hours 40? I'm still good. I'm good for a bit. I still got a bit of coffee. My coffee's about 2.5 hours old, but it still tastes good. So you can support the channel with a monthly YouTube membership. Prefer if you went to Substack. Click the join button, throw some money at the channel. That's all good. That goes back into the channel. Might even get me a new bowl of rice, new bag of rice. But Substack's definitely the way to go. Go Substack if you want to do it. If you're like, oh man, I really want to hook this bro up. I really love his stuff. Okay, what do we got? I had a dream that I was climbing up a steep cliff and trying to find my footing, and it started to get a little too challenging, so I woke myself up. It made me think of the possibility of waking. Oh, here we go. In the second part, waking myself up in some sort of way when things are too overwhelming or challenging in this reality as well. Oh, I love that, Heather. Yeah, I think what we can do is we can snap ourselves out. Hey, we can get caught up in a flurry or a situation or become all flabbergasted and flustered. And, it's like, wait a minute. Like, slap yourself out of it. Wake yourself up. It's like, wait a minute, hang on. I'm a stillness practitioner. These things are extraneous. They're not part of me. They're not who I am. And I think, when you have challenging dreams as well, man, I tell you what, I've done my best. Like I've had some interesting dreams in my time, and some of them have been very challenging. And if you're not lucid, you will sometimes just snap out of it because you just can't handle it. It's too emotionally overwhelming. And that's why, part of lucid dreaming training is to, like, when you become lucid, don't get excited. It'll knock you out. Clint Sabon was talking about this the other day about astral projection or, out of body projection. He's saying, don't get too excited because it'll knock you out. You want to be as just poised and composed as you can be when you're having these experiences. You don't want to be reacting to them like you react to things in the world. That's another thing we do in the process is that we move from being reactive to being responsive. We choose how we respond with measure. And this serves us well. Because if we just instantly react to an offhand comment from someone triggered by a previous experience on something or blah, 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 whatever it is, we're like, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that. Oh, write that down in my black soul mirror. Oh, I sometimes react to things or this particular thing. And then, you try and generalize it, and you get it specific, then you generalize it. Because chances are it's other things too, right? So, yeah, the reality, this is a hard reality, I mean, some people are doing it far harder than myself, and some people are doing it far easier than myself. I've got an okay pocket. I'm grateful for my lot. I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful for you guys too, man. This is really fun, just hanging out and talking. Oh my gosh, Heather became a YouTube member. Heather, thank you so much. And I love that it's green as well, the letter G from KTQ, which is all about growth, and apparently the letter you want to practice for building a business and whatnot. Thank you, Heather. Now I have 2 members in my YouTube membership. I'm going to make you guys something. I'm going to make something just for members. I don't want to paywall stuff, but I want to encourage people to support I mean, because some of the courses are really expensive. Like if, you can buy components of 60 skills courses, which is awesome. But if you buy the big courses, it's hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of dollars. But I want to, I don't know. I'm still figuring out what I'm doing on this channel, to be honest. I've done a lot of interviews and stuff, and I've still got plenty of stuff to do. But I've had a lot of other people on. I think personally I've got a lot to offer as well. And so I want to create some things. I want to give the members and the people that are putting their hard-earned cash forward, I want to give them some perks. I want to just say to all my members out there, all 2 of yous, maybe it's more now, I'm not sure. But I want to say that, you're supporting this work so that others can enjoy it as well. And so I appreciate you just for supporting the channel, just like I am doing it. And so I'm grateful for you. So everyone else on here that's not a member, no pressure. I'm grateful to have you here. Thank you for listening. I'm hoping that you take some value from what I'm offering here. And I have opportunities for you to support the channel in whatever way you see fit. In fact, let me just run through them. First of all, go to philrice.substack.com. Just give me your email address. I'm not going to spam it. Substack's pretty good. You shouldn't get all sorts of crazy stuff coming through. Number 2, you can make a donation in PayPal. And that's info@philrice.co.nz. Okay, PayPal. I think it works on Stripe as well. And you can also just do a YouTube, like there's a super chat or a super thanks or a super sticker or join, and it's all cheap, $5 or something like that. But if I get lots of you guys doing that, then it's like, I got all this free time now. I don't have to go out and do other worky stuff. I can make stuff for the big family. And but I like finding this balance. It's a lot of fun, I took a big break from doing YouTube. I had a channel years ago, and it kind of wore me out, to be honest. I was doing all interviews, and it just it was during a very contentious time, and it wore me out. And I had a pretty full-on dream about it, actually. I'll just share it. I'm not really, I don't just share personal things all the time, but I had a full-on dream about it, saying, bro, nah, untangle yourself from it. And I did it, and it improved my life greatly. But I'm back with this now, and I get a lot of encouragement for this channel personally. And I think it's because I've kind of developed myself. I'm a much better version of myself, and I'm happy to say that. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stick around for probably another, what is it? Oh, I'll stick around for a bit longer. Yeah, no, sweet is. Sweet is. Have I got any cool stuff I can show you guys? Let's see. Maybe. Oh, I've got some memes here. Should we have a look at some memes? We can just chat while I'm putting the memes up. Throw your comments and the questions in there, guys. Oh, Heather, that is so wonderful. Thank you, sister. I really appreciate that. Those are really kind words. Yes, sister. And I'm so glad that it's having that effect on you, mate. I couldn't really ask for anything more, to be fair. And I know you're in a challenging situation, sister. And so I'm truly grateful. Thank you. To quickly sum up today's lesson, tell me, my young devotee, what do we do when life hands us a big ball of just roll with it? That's what is it? Oh, hang on, you can't quite see it. Dung beetle philosophy. Yeah, okay. What else we got? Oh, this is pretty funny. Day 1, let there be light. God creates everything. Day 6, he's piecing together animals. That's funny. That's like a character creation screen in a game. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. All right, what else we got? This is awesome. This reminds me of that letter G that came up when we were talking about Heather becoming a member. Because G is obviously a great one for, it's a great healing letter as well. And it's a peace letter, almost like a bliss letter. Yeah, that's so funny. Cats, bloody cats, eh? You got to You gotta love cats. Some of them are beautiful and lovely, and some of them are just dicks, you know? Some cats are just dicks. I love them, but I really love cats. I love dogs too. I pretty much love all animals. We have a species of spider here that are really nasty though. Like they're an imported one. It's called a white-tailed spider, and they don't do anything except cause problems. I don't kill them, but I take them for a big long walk outside. But man, these things will go you. They're only little things, but I've had plenty of friends been bit by them, and all sorts of nasty stories. Here we go. This is beautiful. Since it is so likely that children will meet cruel enemies, let them at least have heard of brave knights and heroic courage. Otherwise, you are making their destiny not brighter, but darker. Man, I love that so much. This is why, guys, I took I've taken some time out to focus on pop culture, because these are essentially our modern myths and stories. We're absolutely awash with them, like we're flooded with them and saturated, like it's oversaturation. So, but it's got nothing to do with how you look. It's got to do with your conduct, and giving younger generations things to aspire to. I'm constantly reminded of those Greek statues, those finely chiseled men and women, of the high moral fiber and stature and these kinds of things, people who sought out to become better versions of themselves and put themselves under great stress and arose victorious. Yeah. And they suffered, but they knew that that was part of the path. And young people need to see that so that they know. There's a story I heard years ago. I haven't been able to find the actual thing, but there's a guy, he's a well-known microbiologist, and he talks about the story of this species of butterfly. The caterpillar needs to see or experience the butterfly that it can turn into so it can actually go through the process. So it can't turn into a butterfly, like it can't go into chrysalis mode until it sees like what's on the other side first. Yeah, I'm still not sure about that. That's chicken and egg stuff, but I like the sentiment anyway. And that is that, we need sages and scholars and warriors, protectors. We need studiers and carers and gardeners, and all of these things are here anyway. It's just when they become disproportionately out of balance, and any kind of sowing of social disharmony intentionally done by those who are not supposed to do that, that stuff needs to be called out. And I think there's in our current day and age, there's ways of doing that and explaining things about how we are essentially transgressing upon natural laws and the rights of others. Now, I'm actually wandering into territory I don't really want to get to in this thing because it needs a lot more elaboration. But when I worked as a guitar teacher, most of my students were young men, young, impressionable, they were 8, 9 years old, all the way up to 15, 16, 18. These young men were looking for guidance. They were looking for people to help them make sense of the world. And I started cleaning up my act. I mean, I was a good person, I'd like to think, but I was pretty wild, and I'd be walking down the main street. Everybody knew me because I taught at all the schools, man, not the colleges, the intermediates and the primary schools. I taught in like 20 local schools and more, because I used to set schools up. These kids would see me on the street and be like, hey, hey, hey. It's like, oh my gosh. Then we'd have the nights where the streets were closed off, and we'd have live bands and festivals and foods and everything you want, entertainers and stuff. And I'd be hanging out with people who are drinking out of the bottle and smoking up and all the rest of it. And they'd be like, yeah. And then the kids would see me and I'd be like, you know what? It's fun for me, but it's not fun for me. I actually don't like this stuff, but I do it anyway because I'm part of a group activity. I don't want kids to think that this is it. And I don't want to be advertising this stuff, but I don't just want to put a face on. So I really started to pull back on my being a 38-year-old teenager, or no, it wasn't 30. I was like 33 or 34. I was a public figure. Like I said, I wasn't a bad person. I wasn't doing lots of bad things, but I could have put on a better image for the kids. So these things were important to me. And this is the thing now is that, like, I don't really want to touch on it because people in the chat and who are watching this might have different views on things, which is fine. But I've seen confused young men come to me because they came from broken families. They would live with mum one week and dad the next week. And it wouldn't matter whether it was man or woman, whoever they were coming from. One of the parents tended to be a bit difficult, and the other one was just trying to make the best. Sometimes when relationships break up, one of the other partners can just go a bit strange, and I've seen that plenty of times. It's like they've had their feelings hurt and they're fully invested in this. They think the person hates them, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I've seen the kids come to me. They come to me 1 week from mum, then the next week they come from dad, and I'm dealing with mum and dad. You get very good at walking the line of being a service provider who cares and having very important conversations with people. You become very good at being a diplomat in that sense. But I tell you, man, these young fellas, they're being influenced by TV and pop culture and movies and celebrities like you wouldn't believe. They are so impressionable, and they think that is, because it's just out there that it's fine and okay. And we know that most of the stuff out there is not. We know it. And we know the trajectory that stuff takes. So, yeah, this is great, guys. I mean, we're literally like trying to become ultimate versions of ourselves, finding our way, having a great time getting back to like discovering our true selves, which is, funnily enough, the process of Reiki, which is finding your true self. It's really no different from what Barden's offering, trying to find that divine essence within ourselves, and then becoming better, and then being joyful and engaging and interesting amongst people who are really struggling, man. There's not a lot of people. This is a small community, man, but we can be so potent. That's why I've kind of thrown in with this, not completely 100% Barden, because the Barden community is still quite diverse in a lot of ways. But I'm generally, and I'm not a Barden-centric channel, but it is very heavily Barden influenced, because it's like Mark Rasmus introduced me to Barden, and Mark Rasmus's interpretation of Barden, along with Bob Smith from 60 Skills. I found Mark a long time before I found Bob. But Bob brings a great angle on it too. And all the other teachers too that I hold in high regard. But for myself, my personal teacher, man, I tell you, we are in such a great position to make a real difference in the world, to become potent agents of positive change. Because I tell you what, man, it's disproportionately, like, society's feeling like it's going to collapse. Like, it really feels like people, the masses are being pitched against each other. What do they say? Let the herd cull itself. Take from that what you will. We are literally like the ones that can make the difference here, guys. Our ability to be potent agents of change is vastly exponentially increased through these practices. I am the spirit of the spicy burrito you had for lunch, Ebenezer. Ghost pepper. Yeah, I see what they did there. It's all right. It's kind of funny. Yeah, but getting woken up in the middle of the night because your food's repeating on you. Oh, I shared this one the other day. I thought this was crack up. This is a crack up, isn't it? Actually, I'll just bring it up because somebody brought it up on my Telegram. Because are you guys on my Telegram? I don't advertise my Telegram. If you guys have got the Telegram app, go and check out. Hang on, where is it? Where are we? Phil Rice. If you go to Telegram and just type in @Phil Rice Internal Arts, that's my, like, I've just put it in the chat. Here it is there, Telegram @Phil Rice Internal Arts. That's where I do a lot of my updating. I put all the memes on there. I don't generally share them on Facebook. I'm trying to get people away from Facebook. And whatever you think about Telegram, it is what it is. And I can do a lot more stuff on Telegram. But somebody said, what did they say? It's pretty funny. They commented on this and they said, imagine that this is your first evocative experience. Pardon me. No one would believe you, right? Pardon me. Like, you build a circle and you do a banishing ritual and a middle pillar or whatever it is you're doing. You're doing the Barden approach and you have an experience, and then this gets put in front of you and you're like, the spiritual world has a sense of humor. Okay, let's just quickly run over the chat. Ooh, the G. Yeah, man. Yeah, so the G. Okay. All right. I'll talk about a KTQ for a minute here. I'll just put another meme up. Oh, hang on. I'll be back in 1 minute. I'm just going to go quickly check something. All right, I'm back. Okay. It's me, Satan. So who cares? It's funny, eh? There's a lot of great memes. Some people don't like this kind of stuff because demons. And it's like, man, I'll tell you what, man. There's demons walking on the street that you don't have the same reaction to. But hey, no judgment here, man. But I like a good laugh. Yeah, you see, it's not getting to her. She's not upset. It's like, what? So it's like, what else you got? Can you do better than that? Oh, this is nice. Every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Nice. That's a good one. All right, let's have a look here. So Heather was asking about the letter G. Can you talk about the letter G? Okay, so the G is a water letter, and it is a nice sort of grassy kind of green. So it's the three characteristics are at a basic level from the 3-point concentration approach is it's gur. Okay, it's what is it? It's the it's in the key of F. So it's this. It's this. It's an F. Let's have a look. An F is here. Gur. Okay. Could be a high G or a low G. We'll figure it out. But let's there's my book. Let's do a reading from the Key to the True Kabbalah on the letter G. Let's see what Mr. Barden says about it, and then I'll give my take on it. Nope, not there. Where are we? Nope. figure it there. It's all in alphabetical order, Phil. Okay, at the level of the akasha, above your head. Okay, so what you do is you put a green ball above your head, like a grass green. I've had a few experiences with the G where it's been presented to me and it's almost come up like a bright green camo. But yeah, grass green is good. I think, guys, when it comes to element colors, especially, is go and explore your immediate environment. See what color the earth is around you. See what color, the water at the sea level is. These types of things, because people in another part of the world, they see things can be a little different for them. It's our relationship to our immediate environment. I think sometimes when we take teachings from other parts of the world, there's some things that kind of get lost in geographical translation, if you know what I mean. So that's why in one of my old KTQ videos I made like months and months and months ago, I talk about this thing about there's the green and then there's a bit to the left and a bit to the right, a bit darker, a bit lighter, a bit brighter green, a bit duller green, more matte, more gloss, these types of things, and having the ability to shift. And that's really good visualization training. At the level of akasha, hang on, let me just have a quick sip. This letter vibration allows the Kabbalist to recognize in the Akasha principle of all spheres and planes the profundity of divine grace and mercy in all their aspects. It gives him the possibility to see how far divine lawfulness extends and how divine grace and mercy affect man and animal. Now, that's obviously language from a while back. But at the level of the Akasha, it starts here and it moves down, right? So we're pulling it through. So it's all packaged up down here. And as it moves through the bodies, it moves into each of the one of the bodies a bit different, or each one of the poles, so to speak. But we talk about the poles are kind of the approach in which we bring the energy down, but the body is what essentially we relate to that gets affected, if you get what I mean. Sorry, hopefully I'm not confusing anyone here. But at the Akasha level, it's very much about the universal nature of things, okay? Universal lawfulness. And so we see these divine kinds of emanations, how they relate to things at the base level of reality. In the mental realm, the virtue of divine peace in the spirit, the experience of peacefulness, is attainable through this letter vibration, and so is the blessing by divine providence in all its aspects. If the Kabbalist masters this letter vibration, he acquires the ability to bestow true divine blessing. Now, wouldn't that be wonderful? To bestow a blessing on someone. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's an interesting one, because, I mean, these words, they could be quite loaded. I mean, you could say the word blessing to a bunch of people and they're all going to come up with something different. But generally, it's almost like it's a wish of divine fortuitousness, or, of beneficence, or good luck almost, like may blessings rain upon you. May blessings fall at your feet and line the path of the rest of your life walk. So that's at the mental level. So that's almost like comprehension brought down, that you can, the things that you, it's I'm just like I like coming at this from the angle of like being like, because I come from like a, construction and forestry and mining and trucks and diggers and technology and hydraulics and stuff. And so I'm a parts guy, I like to see how things fit together. And so at the mental level, it's you're attaining a type of, each one of these letters changes you in a way. It's a calibration tool, and you already possess them, but not necessarily, well, you don't possess them. They're kind of already there. They're in the soup. This is you extracting and separating deeper and deeper layers of the soup that you're in. And just like the elements, you're discovering the elements and then clearly separating them and working with them individually. Like I said this the other day, like when we first do, like, say, the 3 transformations, or we're learning to separate the 3 bodies, we don't do our woodworking and cooking in the bathroom. There's rooms set apart for specific operations and functions. The mental body is good for this bunch of stuff. The astral body's what looks after this bunch of stuff, and You have a control room. You have you have a finishing room. You have a production facility. You have these different areas of operation. And so at the mental level, the virtue of divine peace in the spirit. And divine peace. This is the kind of thing a lot of my clients could do with. And that's what I seek to bring to them. It's not about the Reiki stuff or the healing stuff. It's like I go to considerable lengths in a lot of cases to make sure that we're not going to be interrupted. There's no strong smells or sounds. They can get very comfortable and relax and just sink and get super still. One lady came to see me. She texted me the next day and she said, look, my hip's still sore. But she said, man, normally it takes me 20 minutes to wind down after work. But it only took me 5 minutes once I sat on the couch. And I got, and it was deeper than I've ever been. It was great. I mean, she came back for many more sessions and we worked on her hip. But the reality is her hip problem was like 14 years old and she'd become so identified with it, it had become part of her personality. We got some good results out of it, but it was still like it could have taken a lot longer if we wanted the ideal outcome, but some things are hard pressed, but peacefulness. Imagine being able to bestow true divine blessing. That's intriguing, isn't it? In the astral level, in the astral body and astral kingdom, the feeling of blissfulness, of complete satisfaction, may be obtained through this letter vibration. Likewise, when mastering this letter vibration, situations causing happiness, success, and wealth in the material world may be Kabbalistically created by means of the elements and the electromagnetic fluid. So that's going. There's layers of complexity here because we're starting to see the constituent kind of components, elements, functions of the different layers of reality. And as we move down to the earth, things become very diverse and complex. And I'm not saying that the mental conception is not void of complexity, but there's the causation chain starts to fan out and it gets quite a bit wider in some ways. From the ground up perceptual level. I hope I'm getting that right. I might have to get off the live stream soon, guys. I've actually got to go do a thing shortly, but we'll get through this. So it's complete satisfaction, blissfulness. That sounds good. They say in some of these like manifestation type things. Hang on, I just better quickly send a message. Oh, that's lovely. I will. Yeah. Just. Cool. So they say in some manifestation type things, like say law of attraction type things, like if you're not content or if you're holding, a belief that something is, deserve it, or it's not real, or it's not going to happen, or I'll never be good enough and all that kind of thing, that just gets in the way of you at a very basic practical level of you even just taking action. Why bother? Forget about it. Waste of time. I mean, you got to be a lot more open to stuff. And, anyone on this who's listening to this right now, I mean, chances are you've played around with some stuff and got some results, or you've just changed your attitude to something and it's paid good dividends. So it's, this is a great way to sort of settle the astral body, the G. And then at the material level, so this is when things are really advanced. So at the matter level, when you're able to pull the energy down to the physical level, you're really starting to put on the big boy, or that you've got big access to the workshop here. So In the material world, this letter vibration represents all phases of prosperity and wealth, of happiness and contentment. Divine providence has created abundance through this letter vibration, and, like the creator, the Kabbalist may also bring about abundance in everything for himself or others, should he wish to do so. So, cause and effect, 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 cause and effect. What I found really, just whatever it is in the system that I explore, and not just Barden stuff, is you kind of develop your own relationship to the process. And in this case, if we're talking about the letters, in this case, particular case, G, you start just playing, well, not playing around with it, but you've got to start monitoring potential effects that you can at least, like, you start working with a letter. Now, Bob from 60 Skills has got a great book on the third book, Key to the True Kabbalah. It's called Initial Experiences with the Kabbalah by Bob Smith and Rawdon Phobos. If you go to any of Bob's videos, he puts the Amazon link in the bottom, or just go Initial Experiences with the Kabbalah or Bob Smith, although I'm sure there's a few Bob Smiths on Amazon. But he's got a write up on like he's done a really great job, like listing all the letters out and talking about them. But he kind of refers to the letter G as growth. And, it's a healing letter as well. He talks about basically you load the letter in, and then you need to have a thing to point it towards. And all these letters are so different from each other. They're so similar in some ways too. But yeah, I really recommend that book and just keep exploring it. I think what happens is that you get to know the functionality of the letters by using them as well. There's what the book says, there's your contemplations, there's the 3-point concentration, which is the very bare minimum. Don't forget, there's all of the body posture stuff that say Mark Rasmus and Bob bring in, like the if you're doing G, it's a water letter, so you'd move into a magnetic phase. Whether you're sitting or standing, you pull the joints. And then you're contracting and all this type of thing, and maybe you're in a cooler environment as well, sort of thing. You're harvesting the coldness, so you set yourself up for the win. Maybe I've got something I really want to show you guys, but I'm running out of time. I might do this another one. But one of the exercises, obviously, in Barden's book and Training G, is that you surround yourself, the universe, with the color green. And I've got this green bucket that's beautifully translucent green. I just want to put it over my head and say, this is how I do my mental body training. Don't tell anyone, because I might make a video on it. It'll be our little secret until I drop the video, because it could be quite a funny thing. I'm trying to bring humor into this path a little bit, So Heather, I'm sorry. Hopefully that has been of some value to you about the letters, but I figure a lot of this stuff out just through personal experience, and then I pass on what I can. And I have to say that the letter G for me is critical at this point, especially because it's can be used as a healing letter as well, even to help people find peace. It's great for us who are seeking to become esoteric practitioners in a professional sense. Excuse me. And hey, if we're trying to build something, you want to have something to point it towards. The more specific you are, the universe loves specificity. If you are focused on a goal, build it up, build it up, build it up, get it delineated, get the pictures, the vision board, write it out, have the plan and all that, and then you pump the G, push it through basically the G gets pushed through the thing. Yeah, so the ball above head method that pretty much everyone talks about, definitely worth exploring. And just monitor your experiences, guys. Some of yous are gonna get encouraged with those letters, let's just say. And I don't want to talk too much about it, because I don't want to contaminate your experience, but if you've got the first book, I'd just say, look, if you've got the cash, get all the books. Just buy the cheap copies of the books or get the PDFs or whatever. I like having the books if you can. I know they're not cheap, especially the second book is not because it's a big book. The third book price fluctuates, but you get these books, put them by your bedstand, read them before you go to sleep at night. You might start getting some encouragement. I'll just leave it at that. We are programmable species. Yes, we are, Jason. Yes, we are a programmable species. Hang on. Hey, you there. You've been scrolling too long. Go do some magic. That's right. Get your practice in. And I'm grateful for people like you who help us positively reprogram. Oh, thank you, bro. Man, that's really kind, man. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, I'd like to, I'm trying to find my point of difference. Everyone's got courses and everyone's got the books and that. I'm just trying to find a way to leverage my existing talents and skills to sort of like, you know, help you guys out. I mean, the idea of the channel is like far out. We all need motivation. And one way you can do that is to create a motivational channel, right? And so I just wanted to help people, you know, like let's share ideas. The memes are important. Yes, memes are so good. I'm so grateful for memes. It's just such a great way of sharing information. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. I'm glad you took something from that. Oh, wow. Snap. Achoo. Get it? Oh, okay. A few more memes. And then I'm just going to do another quick thing here. Go to philricesubstack.com. Give me your email address. You don't need to buy a membership. Just give me your email address. Why? So we can stay in touch if anything happens. And also, I'd rather build up Substack than YouTube, to be honest, guys. And YouTube's obviously always going to be much more popular, but well, it's a great work, isn't it? And if we put all our eggs into the YouTube basket, that could just disappear overnight. Those fellas, geez. Want to donate a one-off PayPal? I tell you what I'm looking for at the moment. I'm looking for someone to sponsor. Well, no, I'm not actually. I'd rather just you guys just put something in. I just need to raise about. I'm just putting this back on the community. If you guys like the stuff, I'll make the stuff. I'll show up. I'll keep doing the practices, making the stuff. But help me out here, you know. Like at the moment, you know, the where is it? Yeah, the StreamYard software I use can be upgraded and I get more goodies to play with. I don't have it at the moment. I can reach out for advertising. People have reached out, but I don't want to advertise other people's stuff under obligation because of advertising. I would rather just give them all a shout out and you guys fund these types of things to help me improve your experience. I think that's a fair call and I'll just stand by that. And of course, you can just hit the YouTube join button down below as well. It's like $5 a month or something like that. And I will put some goodies up there at some point in the Substack too. I'll probably put more goodies in the Substack one, just saying, when I get there. I just like to make free content personally, you know. Buying and selling stuff, oh, geez. I've done that model of living. I know it's still a reality, but I just like showing up and doing these live streams, to be fair. We can just talk, hang out. People who take value of this stuff will take value of this stuff. All right. What else we got here? Oh, not that one. This one here. Remember where you came from. The fox is chasing the chicken farther back, and the dinosaur. Fantastic. All right, let's finish with this one. Wouldn't that be funny? Oh, should have known it. Should have listened to those guys in the metal albums. All right. All right, everybody. Far out. You guys have been the best, man. This has been the longest yet. This is like a 3.5 hour live stream. I think I've done pretty well here. Just first of all, man, you guys are the best. I want to say just that. Thank you to those of you that have gone to Substack, signed up. Thanks for those of you. Thank you to Heather for signing up as a member. I appreciate that, Heather. Thank you to just everyone who put the questions in the comments. And like I said, I'll comment on what I can, and I'll be straight up about what I can. And some things I won't talk about for various reasons, and I appreciate that you will respect that. And yeah, I'm just grateful for all you guys. Have yourselves a beautiful, wonderful, amazing. Well, it's Tuesday here in New Zealand, Tuesday afternoon. I imagine it's still Monday night in the rest of the world. Yeah. And R.I.P. to James Earl Jones, the voice behind Darth Vader. The story of Anakin Skywalker. They thought he was the chosen one, and he ended up being the bad guy. And then he came around when his son pulled him out of the darkness. It's a very interesting story, the Star Wars story. I'm not so much the new stuff. It's more that original story of Anakin and then Luke, and then the thing. There's an esoteric underpinning there, I think, that could be pulled on. But in the meantime, you guys have a beautiful day. I love you all. You're wonderful people. I'm so grateful. And I'll see you all again soon.